Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales. Chapter 3672. Sky-Swallowing Clan. In the Eternal Life God domain, Longchen already knew that the Heaven Blood Hell was the Sky-Swallowing Clan. Its real name was Blood Hell Beast. To Longchen, this was extremely shocking. After all, this was the lair of the ancestor mystical dragon. The ancestral beings outside could not even enter. Why would the Sky-Swallowing Clan and Blood Hell Beast be here? Many thoughts flashed through Longchen's mind. He was still in a state of deep shock. His mind was completely blank for a period of time. Because the most impossible thing had appeared here. Why is there a Sky-Swallowing Clan here? They seem to be weaker and in deep slumber. Your arrival woke them up. Li Xuanji calmed down from her shock. As Longchen froze and stared at the countless eyes below, the owners of those eyes woke up and stared at Longchen. The feeling of being stared at by countless eyes naturally made one's scalp go numb. Why are they here? Did the Sky-Swallowing Clan control this place and attack it? That's not possible, they are so weak. From what I know, other than the giant demon god beast, the rest of the Sky-Swallowing Clan should be sealed. When Longchen thought of this, he had a fairly clear judgment in his heart. This made him surprised and excited. It's very likely that the lair of the ancestor mystical dragon is the place where the first ancestor dragon sealed the Sky-Swallowing Clan. No wonder the infinite worlds could not find this place. It's in the ancestor's world. So it's like this. Longchen also thought of another point. There were 9 giant caves outside, and the seals on the 9 caves were many times stronger than the others. From the looks of it, the place where the 9 great ancestral dragons once resided should be the place where the Sky-Swallowing Clan's holy lords were imprisoned. There were countless small caves around. Apart from Holy Lord, all the other Sky-Swallowing Clan members were imprisoned. For example, Blood Hell Beast was in the cave that Longchen came from. This explains why I can't enter the 9 caves. The reason is that the 9 caves are used to seal the Sky-Devouring Clan Saint. If I could enter easily, wouldn't I have broken the first ancestral dragon seal? Longchen thought it through. That's right. The first ancestral dragon had sealed all the members of the Sky-Swallowing Clan here, apart from the remnants of the giant fiend god beasts. Longchen, or rather the entire universe, had a blood feud with the Sky-Swallowing Clan. The enmity of the extermination of the clan, the enmity of the world. The people in front of him were participants from back then. Now, Longchen was face to face with them, facing countless scarlet eyes. It was only a momentary pause. The Sky-Swallowing Clan had been imprisoned for 100 million years. 100 million years later, they suddenly saw the existence of life, and a mystical dragon at that. Naturally, they would go crazy. Wang. Without further ado, all the blood prison beasts charged forward and swarmed toward Longchen. In the primogenitor's world, the blood hell beasts were not huge. Some were only a few meters in diameter. Of course, there were countless eyes on them. Facing the enemies that he had chased for so many years, until today, he finally met the Sky-Swallowing Clan. Longchen's heart turned colder. Beside him, the 5 world origins danced and circled him. The necklace of fate was around his neck, the ring of life was on his finger, the chain of time was wrapped around his body, the slaughtering blood sword in his left hand, and the karma halberd in his right. He actually has 5 ancestral origins. In the God Nation, the ancestral divine warriors were even more shocked. However, they guessed that this should be Longchen's limit. After all, there were only 10 ancestral origins in the past. In Longchen's heart, there was only one word: kill. Kill them all. The blood feud was as deep as the sea, the hatred of the extermination of his clan. Only by staining this place with blood could the hatred in Longchen's heart be appeased. However, this was not all. If all the people here were from the sky-swallowing clan, although Long Chen could not enter the 9 largest caverns, he could kill all the other caverns. Moreover, when they were sealed, the sky-swallowing clan was at their weakest. Even if they managed to escape, they would need some time to recover. Kill. Long Chen controlled the 5 world origins and charged into the group of blood hell beasts. A small portion of these blood hell beasts only had the ability of a deity. Of course, they were no match for Long Chen. Some of them were equivalent to an ancestral god, but that was only the 9th era. Even the 8th era's ancestral god was no match for Long Chen. In fact, even though he could have killed most of them in one move, Long Chen didn't do so. He closed in and charged at the blood prison beasts, using his sword, halberd, and other weapons to tear these blood prison beasts to pieces. The scariest ones in the sky-swallowing clan are the Holy Masters. I'm afraid that the first ancestral dragon did not have the time to kill such a large number of them. Today, I will take revenge on behalf of the mystical dragon clan. Blood hell beasts, kill as many as you come. As Long Chen charged forward, a sea of blood flew. Countless sky-swallowing clan blood hell beasts let out ear-piercing screams as they were torn apart by Long Chen. Not even a speck of dust was left behind. The ear-piercing screams caused a huge commotion in the depths of the caverns. However, the outside of the caverns was still calm. This showed the power of the ancestral mystical dragon lair. It meant that a large part of the first ancestral dragon's seal required the lair to complete. Rip. Countless pieces of flesh exploded around Long Chen. A large number of deaths. However, the blood hell beasts were not afraid of death. Hundreds of blood hell beasts died one after another under Long Chen's violent slaughter. Not long after, only about 100 were left and they fled. Even as they were fleeing, their countless eyes were still lifeless and lifeless. Who? At this moment, a huge commotion occurred in the deepest part of the cave. Long Chen chased after them and coincidentally saw a huge blood figure appear in the depths of the cave. It was covered with scarlet eyes, and within those eyes, there were countless blood veins writhing like demonic snakes. This blood hellbeast was more than 100 meters in diameter. To have such a huge body in the primogenitor's world, the only possibility was that he was very strong. Most of the blood hell beasts here were far weaker than him. Obviously, this was the king of the blood hell beasts. This was normal. With so many blood hell beasts, there was bound to be a progenitor. Buzz. Chapter 3673. Only Long Chen and the Blood Hell King were left in the huge cavern. Who are you? How can you come in here? The Blood Hell Monarch trembled with anger as he watched all his descendants being killed. His eyes were bloodshot as he stared coldly at Long Chen. It was as if there was an endless sea of blood surging on his body. Who are you? As he didn't know the situation of the sky-swallowing clan, Long Chen didn't want to reveal his identity. However, his world's origin was still very obvious. At this moment, the Blood Hell King saw his world's origin. As expected, you are the inheritor of the 9 ancestral dragon. It must have been hard for you to reach such a realm and come here. Looks like the Holy Lord of the Divine Demon Realm didn't kill you. However, since you escaped here and met me, I won't go easy on you. The Blood Hell King was like a huge blood-colored meatball as he rolled towards Long Chen. Layers of murderous intent swept towards Long Chen. I didn't expect you to know my identity. However, I think it's possible that you were waiting to escape but met me here. No one can save you here. Not even the Holy Lords of the Sky-Swallowing clan. How many of your Holy Lords can move now? If I find this place, all of you from the Sky-Swallowing clan will die. Long Chen knew that he didn't know how strong the Holy Lords of the Sky-Swallowing clan were. After all, the chaotic Sky-Swallowing dragon was one of them. Therefore, to a certain extent, he said those words to test the waters. There are 9 caverns outside. Does this mean that the sky-swallowing clan has 9 more holy lords? Including the giant divine demon beast, there will be 10 holy lords in total? If all of them were as strong as the gigantic demon god beasts, then there would be no hope for the myriad worlds in the future. You're too arrogant. Although you're making good progress, you're nothing compared to the holy lords. If it wasn't for the fact that the holy lord of the divine demon realm hasn't fully recovered, you wouldn't be alive today. Fine, I'll finish you off. The Blood Hell King's defense was rather tight. Looking at the current situation, it wouldn't be easy to find out how strong the opposing holy masters were. Long Chen had explored the other Blood Hell beasts. Most of the weaker ones were born after the end of the Epic War, so they didn't know much about the sacred lords. Blood Hell King knew about it, but it was useless as he wouldn't tell Long Chen. Buzz. After exchanging a few words, both sides instantly attacked. Blood Hell King was the first to react. In an instant, all the eyes on his body changed. In the blink of an eye, they turned into a blood-red vortex. Countless blood vessels extended out like tentacles. Hundreds of millions of blood-red blood vessels shot out like sharp spikes from their tips. For a moment, the entire cavern was flooded by the blood-red veins. Of course, Long Chen was also swallowed by these veins. The Blood Hell King's body exploded like a balloon and then condensed again. In the blink of an eye, countless blood vessels contracted and locked Long Chen inside his body. He used this method to swallow Long Chen. Although I can't destroy your world origin, I can swallow your flesh and blood and seal you in your body. This will make you wither away forever. This time, I've made a great contribution. In the empty cavern, the Blood Hell King was extremely happy. Although the descendants he had painstakingly produced were gone, it was still a big deal to deal with the remnant of the 10,000 worlds. After all, even the divine demon beasts hadn't completed this task yet. Who? In the Blood Hell King's inner world, countless blood vessels pierced into Long Chen's flesh like spikes. In an instant, his body was connected to countless pipes. I'm going to let you wither to death. The Blood Hell King began to devour. All of his abilities were in devouring, of course it was extraordinary. All of his flesh and blood was a kind of power, forcefully squeezing onto Long Chen's body. However, he had underestimated Long Chen. He had also underestimated Long Chen's anger and hatred towards the sky-swallowing clan. As the Blood Hell King was devouring the essence of his flesh and blood, Long Chen held the slaughtering blood sword with both hands and cut the surrounding blood vessels. He raised the long sword and exploded. Sky Blood River. One sword to the heavens, 10,000 feet of blood river. Rip. The blood-red sword aura rushed into the sky. The domineering slaughtering sword gave birth to endless blood light that lit up the entire cavern. At this moment, the Blood Hell King was almost cut in half by Long Chen. The two halves of his body were still stuck together, and then at a terrifying speed, they started to stick together and heal. In a short period of time, they actually fused together. The Blood Hell Beast had a terrifying healing ability. However, Long Chen was even more powerful. When the other party was healing, he had already attacked. Blood Spirit Devouring Soul. Every time he used the Blood Spirit Devouring Soul, the Jade Dragon Seal would have some power enter Long Chen's slaughtering blood sword, and then mix with the slaughtering blood energy, releasing the most terrifying slaughtering force. The Sky-Swallowing clan also had a soul, and it was more compatible with the body, like one with the soul, fusing with the flesh and blood. However, Long Chen could even use the Blood Spirit Devouring Soul to directly strip it out. Whoosh! The Sky Blood River only opened up a space. The real killer move was the Blood Spirit Devouring Soul. The Blood Spirit Devouring Soul was released, and in an instant, endless slaughtering Blood Hell King's body was engulfed by the slaughtering blood sword. In the blink of an eye, the soul that was fused with the flesh and blood, rapidly withered under Long Chen's attack, and was devoured by the slaughtering blood sword. In the end, it should have reached the most mysterious jade dragon seal. On the other side. Woo woo, the Blood Hell King let out a final scream. When the soul withered and died, the body that was left behind, under Long Chen's rule, turned into powder and disappeared from the world. Disgusting. This thing. Li Xuanji experienced this battle, and her face was pale. The flesh and blood kept wriggling, and the blood vessels kept swaying, shuttling back and forth. It was indeed disgusting. However, he had killed the sky-swallowing clan after all, and they were one of the evildoers from before the epoch. The blood hellbeast ancestor was still in a good mood, but Long Chen knew that this was not the end. What should we do next? Li Xuanji asked. Kill endlessly. Other than the sky-swallowing clan's holy masters, kill as many as you can. We must kill them all. Long Chen held the slaughtering blood sword and rushed out of the cave, looking for his next target. After writing the new book and writing the dragon blood, it was already dark after 2 chapters. The 2 chapters that were lacking would be pushed back by 1 to 2 days, but it would definitely be updated. Also, everyone take note, the next round of 500 red packets is coming soon. Everyone, hurry up and follow Feng Qingyang's WeChat, open WeChat and search for him. Next time, I will send it at a fixed time, and there will be people fighting for it. Chapter 3674. After killing the King of Blood Prison, Long Chen's eyes were filled with endless murderous intent. The only thing he could do to the sky-swallowing clan was to kill them all. Only in this way could he avenge the millions of innocent lives that had died in vain. Just one King of Blood Prison isn't enough. God One, thank you for bringing me here, allowing me to slaughter these sky-swallowing clan bastards. Long Chen thanked the ancestral divine mites in the God Kingdom. If the ancestral divine mites hadn't pointed him to this beehive, he didn't know how long it would have taken him to find this place. There might even have been other changes that would have led to other serious consequences. Now, he would kill as many sky-swallowing clan as he could. Since Long Chen had discovered where the sky-swallowing clan was sealed, he couldn't let them continue to exist. Helping you is the same as helping ourselves. The ancestral divine mites could naturally see that there was a deep blood feud between Long Chen and the creatures that were sealed here. But to the ancestral divine mites, they were most concerned about their own future. I just hope that while you're avenging us, you won't forget to think of a way to bring us out of this world. We've been alone in this world for far too long. We want a more exciting life. Shen Yi sighed. Long Chen had his own thoughts on this. Long Chen thought for a moment and said, "Don't worry. Since I promised you, I will do my best. But you should know what the sky-swallowing clan's existence means to this world. Now that they're sealed here, I have no reason to let them go." The ancestral divine mites had some understanding of the sky-swallowing clan because the return of the 2 ancestral roots told them many things that happened in the infinite worlds. Plus, all of their ancestral lives had faced the fate of being devoured by the chaos sky-swallowing dragon. Though the ancestral lives had always been in the ancestral world and hadn't encountered anything too complicated, they weren't stupid. In fact, they were very smart. Shen Yi heard Long Chen's words and immediately said, "The sky-swallowing clan must be eradicated. If necessary, we will help you fight against them." "Thank you, everyone," Long Chen said gratefully. Soon, Long Chen left the 1,000-meter-wide Blood Sea Cave and arrived outside the huge beehive. The aura outside made him feel much more relaxed. The smell of blood in the cave where the King of Blood Prison was sealed was truly nauseating. Long Chen immediately saw that outside the barrier of the huge hive, the 26 primogenitor lifeforms were still working together to break the barrier. To these first ancestors, the 5 ancestral roots in Long Chen's possession were truly too tempting. No matter how long it took, they were determined to obtain the ancestral roots in Long Chen's possession. In any case, now that Long Chen was trapped near the giant beehive, there was no way he could escape. They had all the time in the world to attack and destroy this barrier. Without the primogenitor's heart, these primogenitors' lives would gradually die. However, they believed that they would definitely be able to break this barrier before they died. After all, the 26 primogenitor lifeforms working together was something that had never happened before. The power that they could unleash shocked even themselves. When they saw Long Chen come out of the cave, the 7 ancestral phoenixes among the primogenitor lifeforms spat out flames of anger. The leader of their phoenix progenitor, Phoenix 1, had died at Long Chen's hands. They had to take revenge. Long Chen, I want to see how long you can hide in there. One of the ancestral phoenixes let out a sharp cry. Streams of power of laws were unleashed, bombarding the barrier, causing layers of ripples to appear on it. Don't worry, he can't escape. Qi said calmly as he continued to attack the barrier with everyone else. Under the bombardment of the 26 primogenitor lifeforms, the barrier continued to ripple and spread in all directions. It seemed like the entire barrier was rather sturdy. Although it had loosened a little, it was still a long way from being blasted apart. This wasn't good news for Long Chen. The barrier began to loosen under their bombardment. Although it was only a slight loosening, it wasn't a good sign. This meant that they would break the barrier sooner or later. Of course, the barrier seemed to be very stable. It wouldn't be broken in a short period of time. Long Chen didn't take the ancestral phoenix's arrogance to heart. Both sides were in a situation where they wouldn't rest until one of them was dead. There was no point in saying such nonsense. At that moment, Long Chen's eyes were filled with murderous intent. What he wanted to do the most was to enter the other caves and kill more members of the sky-swallowing clan. Shen Yi. You won't have any future by following this kid. Why don't you help us now and cooperate with us to take him down? When that happens, your ancestral divine technique will also be given an ancestral source. Among the 26 primogenitor lifeforms, the ancestral ghostly fox's eyes flickered slyly as it spoke. Hee, what right does a person who goes back on his word have to spout nonsense? Shen Yi spoke with disdain. The ancestral ghostly fox was originally his ally, but it had now betrayed them and stood on the other side. Shen Yi looked down on such a fellow from the bottom of his heart. Although he could understand what the other party was thinking, if the ancestral ghostly fox could betray them, how could its words be trusted? Getting an ancestral source was easy to say. If it really succeeded, the ancestral divine technique would be the first to be excluded. Ancestral divine technique, you will all regret it. Ancestor Baze said nonchalantly as he attacked the barrier. He could be considered to be the same as Qi, his emotions were relatively calm. It was as though nothing would cause his emotions to fluctuate. Only when he saw Long Chen would his eyes flicker with obvious greed. Ancestor Baze was determined to get the ancestral source. Long Chen did not participate in the quarrel between the primogenitor lifeforms. Instead, he chose another cave on the huge beehive as fast as he could and quickly approached it. This cave was about the same size as the cave that sealed the King of Blood prison. It was also about 1,000 meters in diameter. If it was in the infinite worlds, it would be equivalent to an engine-level world. Who knew what kind of sky-swallowing clan was sealed in this cave? Long Chen's eyes flashed with murderous intent. The slaughtering blood sword in his left hand was already emitting a bloodthirsty light. He could not wait to be stained with the blood of the sky-swallowing clan. When Long Chen passed through the barrier at the entrance of the cave and stepped into the cave, the clamor from the primogenitor lifeforms outside instantly disappeared. At the same time, a sticky feeling instantly surrounded Long Chen. What he saw was that the cave was filled with black ball-like lifeforms. Countless sticky tentacles extended from the black ball-like lifeforms. When he saw these lifeforms, Long Chen's eyes almost popped out of their sockets as he recalled the deep-seated hatred he once had. Black Llama Beast. Long Chen's murderous intent instantly skyrocketed. Chapter 3675. Seeing the Black Llama beasts in the cavern, Long Chen's deep-seated hatred surfaced. Back when he was just a god soul, his father's corpse had been taken over by a Black Llama beast. Although it was destroyed in the end, this scene was forever imprinted in Long Chen's mind. These ugly Black Llama beasts had countless tentacles dancing on their black meatballs. When Long Chen stepped in, they charged at him. The entire cavern was filled with an even more viscous aura. Disgusting. Li Xuanji could not help but say. The girl was instinctively resistant to these meatball-like tentacles. This fueled Long Chen's murderous intent. He held the slaughtering blood sword in his left hand and the karma halberd in his right. Endless terrifying nomological laws were unleashed. These ordinary Black Llama beasts were basically equivalent to ordinary gods. The stronger ones were only equivalent to the 9th or 8th era ancestral gods. In front of Long Chen, they could not even withstand one breath. They were sliced into pieces by the slaughtering blood sword. The black meatballs were sliced into pieces. The entire cavern was filled with the smell of blood. Before long, hundreds of Black Llama beasts had died under Long Chen's sword. These Black Llama beasts finally knew what fear was. They kept retreating, but how could they escape from Long Chen's pursuit? Kill! 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 Long Chen was wary of other powerful members of the sky-devouring clan that might appear. At the same time, he used the massacre rules. Blood appeared and dyed the entire cave red. Roar! Just as Long Chen was about to slaughter the hundreds of Black Llama beasts, an angry roar came from the depths of the cavern. Caught off guard, countless even larger sticky tentacles appeared around Long Chen and wrapped around him. Long Chen reacted immediately. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. The slaughtering blood sword danced in his hand and sliced all the huge sticky tentacles that got close to him. At the same time, the berserk laws of slaughter swept through the battlefield, pulverizing the remaining Black Llama beasts. Long Chen raised his head and saw an existence larger than the other Black Llama beasts rolling out from the depths of the cave. This Black Llama beast was actually parasitizing a divine dragon. The upper half of the black meatball was actually a divine dragon. Dark Hades Beast King. Long Chen quietly watched the other party appear. He could easily guess the other party's identity. The strength of this Black Llama Beast King was not much different from that of the King of Blood Prison. They were both at the level of the 4th era's primordial ancestor god. In Long Chen's eyes, the desire to kill grew, especially when he saw that this Black Llama Beast King had actually parasitized a divine dragon. Who dares to kill my son? The Black Llama Beast King roared angrily. When he saw Long Chen's appearance, a look of surprise appeared in the eyes of the huge divine dragon's head. Ha ha ha, you are the inheritor of the 9-headed ancestral dragon. I did not expect you to be able to find this place and grow to this stage. However, for you to barge into my lair so recklessly, you're dead for sure this time. The Black Llama Beast King was not the least bit afraid. His deep voice echoed throughout the cave. He was very surprised. Although his children had all been killed by Long Chen, he had also obtained the opportunity to kill the inheritor of the ancestral dragon. Once he succeeded in killing this kid in front of him, he would have made a huge contribution. Are you so sure that you can kill me? Long Chen laughed. His laughter was filled with a suppressed murderous intent. Before he killed the Black Llama Beast King, he wanted to get as much information from the other party as possible. This was because Long Chen was very clear that the greatest threat to him was not the Black Llama Beast King, but the sealed Sky-Swallowing clan holy leaders. Now, Long Chen knew almost nothing about the Sky-Swallowing clan holy leaders. Therefore, he needed to get as much information as possible in order to gain the greatest advantage in the final battle. Black Llama Beast King, do do you know that not long ago, the King of Blood Prison died in my hands? Now that all the Sky-Swallowing clan holy leaders are sealed, no one can stop me from killing them. Long Chen held the slaughtering blood sword in his hand. His murderous intent sword, and even his eyes turned blood red. He only took one step forward, and the entire cave was filled with the power of the slaughtering laws. This terrifying power made the Black Llama Beast King feel the aura of death. However, the Black Llama Beast King was extremely calm. All the tentacles on his body shot out, and in the blink of an eye, he was in front of Long Chen. A seemingly endless devouring power was emitted from those tentacles, and the slaughtering laws in the cave were gradually swallowed up. Why would I need the holy leaders to deal with you? Just me, the Black Llama Beast King, is enough. The Black Llama Beast King roared, and countless tentacles wrapped around Long Chen's body. Suddenly, a slender tentacle appeared and wrapped around the slaughtering blood sword. Endless devouring power was unleashed. This Black Llama Beast King was actually thinking of swallowing Long Chen's slaughtering blood sword. Too naive, time origin. Long Chen was calm. The time chains wrapped around his body made cracking sounds, and the boundless time laws were released mercilessly. At this moment, Long Chen seemed to have transformed into a void dragon, and he moved leisurely in the river of time. Time, in Long Chen's eyes, became a long river, and on this long river, the endless time laws formed a door of origin. It crossed the boundary of time, and descended upon the tentacles of the Black Llama Beast King. A majestic force from the beginning of time had sent the tentacles that covered the entire cavern far away into space and time, completely separating them from the body of the Black Llama Beast King. The tentacles were destroyed, and the slaughtering blood sword was released. Bright red light exploded, filling the entire cavern once again, forming thousands of blood swords that descended upon the black meatball of the Black Llama Beast King. Blood Spirit Devour. Without any hesitation, Long Chen sent a strange power from the Jade Dragon Seal into the slaughtering blood sword, merging it with the slaughtering laws. The most terrifying slaughtering power in the world was born, and it wanted to devour the soul of the Black Llama Beast King. Ha ha ha, good. But the Black Llama Beast King was not afraid at all. Countless sticky tentacles grew out of the black meatball's body, releasing the supreme law of devouring. Even at the risk of suffering heavy injuries, it once again wrapped around the Crimson Slaughter sword. His soul was being devoured by the terrifying slaughtering power of the Blood Spirit Devour. But at this moment, a shrill roar came from the depths of the cavern. Then, a huge black meatball leaped out from the depths of the cavern, charging towards Long Chen. There were actually two Black Llama Beast Kings sealed in this cavern. Long Chen's expression changed slightly. No wonder the Black Llama Beast King was willing to suffer heavy injuries to trap his slaughtering blood sword. It was waiting for the other Black Llama Beast King to attack. Chapter 3676. Long Chen did not expect that there would be two Black Llama Beast Kings sealed in this cave, one male and one female, and that they had set up such an ambush for him. At this time, the Crimson Massacre sword in Long Chen's left hand had already been entangled by countless sticky tentacles, and he could not break free. Of course, the Blood Spirit Devourer was constantly devouring the other party's soul in an attempt to kill the male Black Llama Beast King. But before that happened, the other female Black Llama Beast King would have already devoured Long Chen. "You're dead meat." A shrill roar came from afar, and instantly reached Long Chen's ears from the depths of the cave. The female Black Llama Beast King was also parasitizing a mystical dragon. That black ball of flesh was constantly expanding and contracting, and it looked extremely disgusting. The seemingly endless sticky tentacles had already occupied the entire cave, surrounding Long Chen's entire body. A kind of devouring power that penetrated deep into the soul was acting on Long Chen's entire body. As the other party's sneak attack was too sudden, Long Chen was not mentally prepared for it. In an instant, a part of his soul was devoured by the other party. However, the other party only had this opportunity for a split second. Sky Blood River. The crimson slaughter sword in Long Chen's hand blossomed with a brilliant blood-red light, accompanied by endless killing intent in his eyes. At this moment, it burst out and condensed into a towering river of blood that ran through the entire cave filled with sticky tentacles. The Crimson Massacre Sword, which had been firmly suppressed by the male Black Yama Beast King, actually broke free in an instant. With a blood-red glow, it slashed down, as though it could slash through thousands of worlds. One by one, the black sticky tentacles were sliced off by this slash. The two Black Yama Beast Kings retreated at the same time. More than half of the sticky tentacles on the black ball of flesh had been sliced off, and the entire cave was filled with sticky liquid. How powerful! As expected of the inheritors of the ancestral dragon. This explosive power has surprised me. The female Black Yama Beast King's shrill voice rang out. It did not sound as though she was surprised by Long Chen's battle prowess. Instead, she seemed delighted. However, it's too early for you to be happy now. The powerful voice of the male Black Yama Beast King reverberated throughout the cavern. Following his words, the sticky liquid that had been splattered all over the cavern seemed to have come to life, shooting towards Long Chen's body. Long Chen did not expect his opponent to have such a trick up his sleeves. In an instant, his entire body was covered in the viscous liquid, causing his movements to become extremely sluggish. Moreover, the viscous liquid continued to devour his flesh and blood, wanting to devour him completely. It's almost time to enjoy this delicacy that has been delivered to our doorstep. The female Black Yama Beast King became excited. The black meatball moved quickly, charging towards Long Chen. It brought with it even more viscous liquid, wrapping Long Chen in layers. The upper bodies of the two Black Yama Beast Kings were also covered in the viscous liquid. This viscous liquid could be used both offensively and defensively for the Black Yama Beast Kings. It had become a powerful weapon for them to defeat their enemies. Devour, devour, devour. The black meatball of the male Black Yama Beast King once again grew countless viscous tentacles, wrapping around Long Chen once more. The viscous liquid and tentacles had completely wrapped Long Chen up like a meat dumpling. The Black Yama Beast Kings stood on either side of Long Chen, greedily feeling the viscous liquid devouring Long Chen. They could feel Long Chen's strength being continuously devoured and drained away. The two Black Yama Beast Kings felt a sense of satisfaction from the depths of their hearts. However, their good times did not last long. Although Long Chen was surrounded by the viscous liquid and his movements were sluggish, he did not panic. A brand new power of the law was displayed by him. The necklace of fate and the chains of time intertwined, and very quickly, an hourglass was formed in an empty space. Hourglass of Fate. Long Chen's eyes, which were covered by the viscous liquid, shone with the flames of the heavens. This was a pair of eyes of fate. Under the control of the law of fate, the viscous liquid that surrounded him was all absorbed into the hourglass of fate. The hourglass of fate was tightly bound by the chains of time, causing the flow of time in the cavern to be completely under Long Chen's control. With the appearance of the hourglass of fate, the blood essence of the two Black Yama Beast Kings were linked to the flow of time in the hourglass. As time flowed in the hourglass of fate, the strength of the two Black Yama Beast Kings began to weaken. The viscous liquid that surrounded Long Chen's body also contained a devouring power that became weaker and weaker. Very soon, it could no longer cause any harm to Long Chen. The hourglass of fate used the eyes as a medium to absorb the Black Yama Beast King's blood essence, causing the strength of the Black Yama Beast King to decrease along with the hourglass, until it could no longer pose a threat to Long Chen. The expressions of the two Black Yama Beast Kings changed from excitement to fear. They did not expect Long Chen to have such a trick up his sleeves. The appearance of the hourglass of fate instantly destroyed the advantage that they had built up. Blood Spirit Devouring Soul, die. Long Chen's eyes shone with endless killing intent. He pulled out the slaughtering blood sword with his left hand. As a mysterious force from the Jade Dragon's seal entered the sword sliced through the air. The terrifying power of the blood spirit devouring soul instantly tore at the souls of the two Black Yama Beast Kings, destroying them completely. The Black Yama Beast Kings, who were suppressed by the hourglass of fate, could not resist at all. Even if you kill us, you won't be able to escape from the hands of the holy leaders. The holy leaders of our race will definitely devour you and this world, ah. The two Black Yama Beast Kings were not willing to die just like that. However, their lives were no longer in their hands. Before they died, they could only curse at Long Chen, hoping that the holy leaders of the sky-swallowing race would take revenge for them. The two of you are just the beginning. Long Chen stood resolutely, the flame of fate in his eyes slowly extinguished. At the same time, the lives of the two Black Yama Beast Kings finally came to an end. Their souls were torn to pieces by the blood spirit devouring soul rules. The holy leaders of the sky-swallowing race. One day, I will slaughter them all. Long Chen's eyes were filled with killing intent as he turned and left the cave. These two Black Yama beasts had completely ignited his killing intent. He did not stop and rushed to the next cave as fast as he could. In every cave in the beehive, there were different kinds of sky-swallowing race sealed. Other than the 9 caves in the middle, Long Chen could enter all the other caves. He wanted to kill all the members of the sky-swallowing race that he could. When he thought of the unforgettable hatred in the depths of his heart, Long Chen's murderous heart simply couldn't stop. Bloody scenes of slaughter played out in countless caves. Chapter 3677. In the thousands of caves in the beehive, countless sky-swallowing clan members were slaughtered by Long Chen. In all the caves, there were countless corpses of the sky-swallowing clan members. In a cave that was a few hundred meters in diameter, there were a few giant birds with crimson wings. Their sharp mouths that could devour the world were all cut into pieces. In a cave that was only a few meters in diameter, there was only a pool of blood. Not even the corpses of the sky-swallowing clan members could be found. The more Long Chen slaughtered, the more satisfied he was. The sky-swallowing clan members were the enemies of all living beings in the myriad worlds. Unless they were completely slaughtered, there was no way to vent the hatred in Long Chen's heart. In the primogenitor's world, time was sometimes fast and sometimes slow. No one knew how much time had passed. Long Chen was determined to kill. He was determined to slaughter 100,000 sky-swallowing clan members. In the caves, there were scenes of brutal killing. In between, Long Chen encountered some danger, but he was always able to avert it. At crucial moments, Shen Wan and the other 3 primogenitor divine warriors would help. They were equivalent to the 4th era's primordial ancestor god. Against the sky-swallowing clan members that had been sealed for a long time, they were powerful enough to deal with them. More than 100,000 sky-swallowing clan members were slaughtered by Long Chen. Among them, there were only a few fire-type sky-swallowing clan members left. Long Chen spared their lives and did not kill them for the time being. This was because Long Chen thought of Mo Xiaolang. As there was no flame to devour, his power was still at the 8th era's primordial ancestor god level. If he could bring Xiaolang here and devour all the fire-type sky-swallowing clan members, his power would definitely increase greatly. Other than that, there were only the 9 biggest caves that he had not dealt with. However, Long Chen did not dare to touch them now because he could feel a rather dangerous aura from those caves. The sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord's power must be extraordinary. Even a divine demon Holy Lord is difficult for me to deal with. Divine demon Holy Lord seems to be the weakest sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord. As Long Chen thought of this, he did not touch the seals of the 9 biggest caves. These seals seemed to be very sturdy. He had to increase his power to have the ability to deal with the sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord. Coming out of the last cave, Long Chen's left hand of the slaughtering bloody sword trembled. This was not a tremble of fear, but a tremble of excitement. Sky-swallowing clan. Sky-swallowing clan, holy Lord Long Chen had finally been avenged. And, the rest, sky-swallowing clan, holy, they swallowing holy saints, clan of swallowing. However, Long Chen was not satisfied because of this. He knew that the members of the sky-swallowing clan that he had killed were merely pawns. If he really wanted to eliminate the sky-swallowing clan, the key was still the sky-swallowing clan's holy leaders. And these were not things that he could deal with right now. After coming into contact with so many members of the sky-swallowing clan, Long Chen had been trying to find out the exact strength of the sky-swallowing clan holy leader. Unfortunately, none of the sky-swallowing clan revealed any relevant information. In any case, Long Chen was in a good mood, but there was still an extremely serious problem in front of him. That was, how was he going to leave this place? After such a long time, the 26 primogenitor lifeforms had worked together to attack the outermost barrier of the giant beehive, and they had actually achieved good results. When Long Chen arrived near the barrier, he saw that there was a relatively weak point on the barrier. Perhaps after a while, the other party would be able to break a hole in the barrier. Once the other party entered this place, Long Chen's situation would become extremely dangerous. It could be said that his life was hanging by a thread. He wasn't afraid of a one-on-one fight, but the other party had a total of 26 primogenitors, and each of them had the strength of a fourth epoch primordial ancestral god, not much weaker than Long Chen. Hee, kid, do you see that? This barrier and your protective umbrella won't be able to last much longer. When the time comes, I'd like to see what other tricks you have to escape from us. The ancestral ogre fox's eyes flashed with a cunning and sinister light as it spoke when it saw Long Chen. During this period of time, Long Chen had almost walked through the entire giant beehive, but he still couldn't find a way to leave. Now that the other party was about to break the barrier, Long Chen didn't intend to sit around and wait for death. It just so happened that he had some insights into his own laws in the previous battle, and he wanted to give it a try. Soon, Long Chen arrived near the barrier and faced the 26 primogenitor lifeforms. Both parties were separated by a barrier, and the other party had already blasted a weak point on the barrier. Under the continuous bombardment of the other party's laws, a hole would probably appear on the barrier soon. By then, Long Chen would be in big trouble. You'll have to pay the price if you want to attack me, Long Chen said as he observed the barrier. His tone contained a trace of contempt, and he intended to disrupt the other party's concentrated attacks on the barrier. These words immediately angered the 7 ancestral phoenixes. Paying the price. Didn't that mean Huang Wan, who had died at Long Chen's hands? They had lived with Huang Wan for countless years, and they had established a very deep relationship with each other. Now that they heard Long Chen's words, they flew into a rage and bombarded the barrier even more violently. Kid, you actually killed Huang Wan. We cannot live under the same sky as you. That's right, God One, and the 4 of you. When the time comes, none of you will be able to escape. The 7 ancestral phoenixes roared at Long Chen with boundless anger. Long Chen continued to carefully observe the barrier and prepare for his own attack. In his divine kingdom, God One smiled and said, "Speaking of revenge, how can you only focus on us?" "That's right." God 3 immediately said, "Back then, the 10 of us joined forces to deal with Huang Wan. Apart from our ancestral divine marshal and Long Chen, there were 6 others. Ancestral ghostly fox. He was the one who provided us with the whereabouts of your ancestral phoenixes. Ancestral Kuanpeng, ancestral Tao Tai. Wait a minute, they were all accomplices." The expressions of the 7 ancestral phoenixes instantly darkened when they heard this. They could not refute this fact, but they also knew that this was definitely not the time for internal strife. The key was to break the barrier, kill Long Chen, and obtain the 5 ancestral roots. Trying to drive a wedge between us? God 1, you are all very naive. The ancestral ghostly fox said sinisterly, after such a long time, all of us have reached a consensus and agreement. How can we fall out because of a few words from you? Just wait for us to break this barrier. At that moment, Long Chen suddenly made a move. It's about time. Perhaps this will work, Long Chen muttered as he stared at the barrier in front of him. His idea was very simple. Since he could pass through the barrier, could he pull one of the opponents in? If that was the case, it would become a situation where Long Chen would fight one of the opponents alone. Perhaps that would solve their current predicament. The best choice was obviously Qi, who possessed the origin of the Chaos Calamity Dragon world. Chapter 3678. The 26 primogenitor lifeforms constantly bombarded the barrier. The weak point of the barrier became weaker and weaker, and a hole could be created at any time. The leader of the Qilin, Qi, was incomparably calm as he constantly bombarded the barrier with powerful laws. At the same time, he was paying attention to Long Chen's every move. Right at this moment, the time chains that were coiling around Long Chen's body suddenly moved, causing the surrounding time to become chaotic. In the primogenitor world, time flowed without rules. When Long Chen's time chains moved, the surrounding time became even more chaotic. Time entanglement. A kind of time law that Long Chen had never used before roared out from the time chains. It actually penetrated the barrier that was obstructing the primogenitor lifeforms and surrounded Qi, who was attacking the barrier. Countless mystical lines formed by the laws of time were like spiderwebs that trapped Qi. Under the laws of time entanglement, the time that Qi encountered seemed to have stopped. This also meant that Qi couldn't move at all. Although the time entanglement law could only stop Qi, who was equivalent to the fourth epoch's primordial ancestor god, for a moment, it was already enough for Long Chen. Come in. Boundless laws erupted from Long Chen's body, triggering the time chains on his body to move. He actually pulled Qi away and passed through the barrier. Just as Long Chen expected, this barrier was left behind by the 9 great ancestor dragons, which was equivalent to Long Chen leaving it behind himself. This was his power. Not only could he move freely between the barriers, but he could also pull others through the barrier. In this way, he could create a one-on-one situation. Although Qi and the other primogenitor lifeforms were equivalent to the fourth epoch's primordial ancestor god level, if it was a one-on-one battle, Long Chen wasn't afraid. In just an instant, Qi was pulled through the barrier and faced Long Chen. The other 25 primogenitor lifeforms were instantly shocked as they didn't expect Long Chen to be able to execute such a method. The crucial point was that when Long Chen was pulling Qi, the time around Qi seemed to have stopped, and the others had no way to stop it. Qi himself was shocked as well. With the obstruction of that barrier, he completely didn't expect that Long Chen would make a move against him. However, the moment he opened his eyes, he had already passed through this barrier and was face to face with Long Chen. The initial surprise didn't last long, and it quickly turned into a pleasant surprise. "Ha, you brought this upon yourself. Originally, I didn't know how long it would take to break through this barrier, but now, you've actually dragged me in. You're simply courting death." Qi was overjoyed. He thought he was stronger than Huang Yi. Although Huang Yi was killed by Long Chen, he believed he could kill Long Chen alone. "Those 5 ancestral roots of yours, I want all of them." Qi quickly calmed down. Even though he was confident in himself, he wouldn't underestimate Long Chen. After all, Huang Yi was killed by Long Chen first, and he didn't want to fail miserably. "That will depend on whether you have the life to come and take it." When Long Chen saw that Qi was dragged in, he was naturally happy. The other party coveted the 5 ancestral roots on him, so how could he not want to obtain the other party's things? Long Chen had long been determined to obtain the world origin of the Chaos Calamity Dragon, and today was his best opportunity. The seventh ancestral dragon is the ancestral dragon that rules over the dragon sacrificial dragon continent's heavenly tribulation. It possesses the two great laws of chaos and calamity. If nothing unexpected happens, this Qi won't be my opponent, Long Chen thought. At this moment, Qi didn't say anything else and finally made his move. As his huge body trembled, a desolate aura from the endless ancient times spread out and filled the surrounding space. His eyes were filled with desolate tribulation lightning, and he instantly blasted it at Long Chen. Desolate endless heavenly tribulation. Countless black lightning laws burst out from Qi's eyes, turning the entire space into purgatory. The power of the tribulation law caused space to tremble and time to become chaotic, wanting to turn everything in this space into nothingness. The black lightning descended, bringing with it endless calamity. Its might was boundless, and it shocked the 25 ancestral lifeforms outside the barrier. Such a method has already surpassed us. It seems like Qi can definitely kill this person. The power of the ancestral roots is indeed extraordinary. Even though Huang Yi was killed by this kid, Qi's power is clearly stronger than Huang Yi's. That kid has 5 ancestral roots. Moreover, he even plundered the ancestral roots from Huang Yi. The attraction of 5 ancestral roots was boundlessly great for these ancestral lifeforms. In their long and silent lives, these ancestral lifeforms had almost nothing to pursue. Now that an ancestral root had finally appeared for them to fight over, how could they not join forces? As they watched Qi attack Long Chen, and the endless desolate tribulation tentacles shook the entire battlefield, their eyes revealed a crazed desire. In particular, the 7 ancestral Qilins were even more excited. After all, if Qi obtained the ancestral roots from Long Chen, he would definitely consider them first. However, there were a few ancestral lifeforms that were slightly worried about the current situation. This included the scheming ancestral ghostly fox. This ancestral lifeform stared at the battlefield, and its eyes kept darting around. It was clear that it didn't believe that Qi could kill Long Chen. Long Chen, this kid first killed Huang Yi, and now he's dealing with Qi. Now, he's taking the initiative to pull Qi into the barrier. This shows that he's very confident in himself. The ancestral ghostly fox knew that the current situation wasn't too good. Originally, it thought that with the power of the 26 ancestral lifeforms, it would definitely be able to easily kill Long Chen and plunder his ancestral roots. However, it didn't expect that Long Chen would escape to the ancestral divine dragon's nest and use the barrier to deal with them. Success or failure depends on Qi. The ancestral ghostly fox's eyes flickered with hope. As long as Qi could succeed, everything would be fine. If Qi failed and was killed, the situation would be even worse. Inside the barrier, endless black lightning rumbled. The desolate tribulation law roared and surrounded Long Chen, wanting to tear him to pieces. Facing the endless black lightning and desolate tribulation, Long Chen remained calm. He raised the slaughtering blood sword in his left hand, and the necklace of life and death released the light of life and death. The slaughtering law and the life and death law fused together, forming the life nirvana sword. The blood-red slaughtering sword light bloomed in an instant and collided with the black chaos tribulation thunderbolts that came crashing down from all directions. Break for me. Under the shocked gazes of the ancestral lifeforms, the life nirvana sword broke the desolate tribulation. The endless black lightning was destroyed by the blood-red sword light and disappeared without a trace. Chapter 3679. The sword of nirvana of life surged over and extinguished the endless desolate heavenly tribulation's black lightning, causing Qi to retreat in shock. That blood-red sword of nirvana of life made Qi feel an extreme threat. It actually shattered his endless desolate heavenly tribulation and neutralized his killer move. However, Qi didn't give up because of this. Furthermore, he couldn't retreat even if he wanted to. Long Chen could pull him into the barrier, but he himself couldn't pass through the barrier. In other words, Qi could only fight to the death with Long Chen now. Qi, if you can't finish off this kid, then you will disappoint us too much. Outside the barrier, the primogenitors started to waver. Seeing Qi's powerful move being easily neutralized by Long Chen, they were really worried that Qi wasn't Long Chen's match. If Qi, who had fused with the ancestral source, was killed by Long Chen, then who among them would be a match for Long Chen? Furthermore, Long Chen could actually pull Qi into the barrier. If he were to deal with the rest of them like this, then the situation would be very bad. Don't worry. Qi said solemnly, and incomparably thick desolate calamity laws were released again. This time, just from the aura alone, it was countless times stronger than that desolate endless heavenly tribulation earlier. 99 Supreme Calamity. Qi yelled out fiercely. Boundless laws of the desolate calamity spread out from his body and condensed into form. It actually formed multiple ancestor Qilin clones. The layers of huge figures surrounded Long Chen. 1, 2, 3, a total of 80 Qi clones, including himself. There was a total of 81 directions of supreme calamity laws, completely suppressing Long Chen. Every clone of Qi was condensed from the endless desolate calamity laws. The 81 directions of supreme calamity laws formed a formation, making Long Chen have nowhere to escape. Let me see how you are going to deal with it. Qi shouted fiercely. This move was the strongest move he could execute after fusing with the world origin of the universe desolate chaos calamity dragon. Every single one of the 81 supreme calamity clones possessed the same destructive power as the clones themselves. Every single clone contained a supreme law of calamity that could crush one's body into pieces. Moreover, there were a total of 80 clones. Under the might of this move, Long Chen was unable to dodge or flee. Even Long Chen was a little shocked when he sensed the power of Qi's attack. Qi had actually unleashed the full power of the seventh ancestral dragon. He was indeed stronger than Huang Yi from before. Long Chen was surrounded by the 99 Supreme Tribulation, and the Supreme Tribulation laws were constantly surging towards him from all directions, making him feel like a small boat in a storm. He could be smashed to pieces by the boundless destructive power of the Tribulation laws at any time. Do you need our help? Within Long Chen's God Kingdom, God One and the ancestral divine armaments were a little serious. Even if the four of them joined forces, they might not be able to break through Qi's move. Long Chen was in danger. No need. If this is Qi's strongest law, then he's already dead. Long Chen, on the other hand, was very confident in himself. Just before this, he had massacred the 100,000 members of the Sky-Swallowing clan. Although there were not many powerful existences among them, they still gave him new insights into many rules. The chains of time began to wander around his body, bringing about violent time ripples that caused the surrounding time to become chaotic once again. At the same time, the fate laws on the necklace of fate began to change endlessly. The light of fate scattered everywhere, fusing with the time ripples brought about by the chains of time. Finally, the slaughtering blood sword in Long Chen's left hand blossomed with a scarlet brilliance, entwining with the light of fate and the time ripples. The bloody red of slaughter, the deep blue of chaotic time, and the white of changing fate, as the three colors fused, they condensed into the phantom of a divine dragon with 99 giant heads. Each color of the laws fused into 33 giant divine dragon heads, causing the time and fate in the surroundings to tremble. Tricolor Dragon Source, break. Boundless law power surged out of Long Chen's body, constantly fusing into the tricolor dragon source with 99 heads. Among the divine dragon phantom, every head was facing one of Qi's sovereign calamity clones. Boundless law power was vast and mighty. In the violent collision, it was as if the entire primogenitor's world was trembling and shattering. Time became completely chaotic, endlessly changing fate intertwined, and Qi Yi's sovereign calamity clones were smashed one after another. The phantom of a giant dragon had smashed a sovereign's calamity clone into pieces. When 80 sovereign calamity clones were instantly destroyed, there were still 29 giant divine dragon phantom heads that swallowed Qi Yi's entire body from all directions. The three types of law power fused. The tricolor dragon source emitted a terrifying divine might and broke the sovereign calamity law. The remaining energy was boundless and directly swallowed Qi Yi's body. Changing fate, bloody massacre, and trembling time. The three types of law fused perfectly and destroyed Qi Yi's body. Qi Yi never expected that Long Chen would actually execute such a terrifying law. His entire body was instantly swallowed by the tricolor dragon source, causing him to subconsciously use the boundless desolate calamity law to resist the tricolor dragon source's devouring. Even if it was only for an instant, Long Chen had already found an opportunity. While Qi Yi was resisting the tricolor dragon source's devouring, Long Chen didn't give him any time. At this moment, Qi Yi was at his weakest. If Long Chen wanted to kill him, this was the best opportunity. It's about time. Blood spirit devour soul. The law of massacre was vast and mighty. The scarlet color dyed the entire barrier in front of the primogenitor lifeforms. Within the Jade Dragon Dao seal, a mysterious energy surged into the slaughter blood sword. It condensed into a supreme blood-red sword light that slashed onto Qi Yi's soul. Qi Yi was still resisting the tricolor dragon source's devouring. He was caught off guard, and his soul was completely torn apart. He let out an incomparably painful roar. Die! Long Chen's eyes were completely red. The slaughter blood sword slashed down without any hesitation, completely shattering Qi Yi's soul. Not good. Retreat. Seeing Qi Yi being killed on the spot, the expressions of the 25 primogenitor lifeforms changed drastically. All of them hurriedly retreated. Since Long Chen could pull Qi Yi in and kill him, he could naturally pull any one of them in as well. Compared to Qi Yi, their combat strength was much weaker. It was definitely impossible for them to be Long Chen's opponent. How would these primogenitor lifeforms dare to stay near the barrier and attack it? Chapter 3680. Long Chen's tricolored dragon origin law burst forth and killed Qi Yi, shocking everyone. Qi Yi had merged with the universe chaos calamity dragon's world origin. His strength was much stronger than the other primogenitor lifeforms. That final 9 ultimate calamity was even more shocking. Unfortunately, Long Chen possessed the 5 great nomological powers and was able to adapt to changes in battle to the greatest extent. The 99 divine dragon heads of the tricolor dragon source law happened to be able to restrain his opponent's 99 ultimate catastrophe, so he was able to suppress his opponent for a moment. Just a moment was enough for Long Chen's blood spirit devourer to completely shatter Qi Yi. After Qi Yi's soul disappeared, the body of the primogenitor Qilin also turned into ashes and dissipated in the primogenitor world. The universe chaos calamity dragon's world origin that had merged with it turned into a primogenitor bone sword. Long Chen took it and held it in his hand. Just like the psychedelic pendant, this primogenitor bone sword actually contains the origins of 6 worlds. It's also a complete world origin. Long Chen gripped the primogenitor bone sword tightly and temporarily ignored the other primogenitor lifeforms that had retreated a distance away. Instead, he started to study the primogenitor bone sword. After killing Qi Yi, the other 25 primogenitor lifeforms didn't dare to approach the barrier for the time being. They also didn't dare to gather and attack the barrier. Long Chen obtained a short period of time to relax. However, he was extremely anxious in the depths of his heart. This was because he didn't know how much time had passed since he came to this primogenitor world. One had to know that the divine demon lord was still turning into life particles in the primogenitor world and trying to recover completely. Once the divine demon lord recovered during this period of time, it would be a calamity to the primogenitor world. Therefore, Long Chen wanted to examine the world origin of the primogenitor bone sword and see if he could find any clues to leave this primogenitor world. At the same time, Long Chen and Li Xuanji checked the psychedelic pendant together, but they found nothing like before. They could not find any clues to leave the primogenitor's world. With the psychedelic pendant and the chaos bone sword in hand, Long Chen finally had the world origin of the 7 great ancestral dragons. Unfortunately, he still lacked the origin dragon souls of the universe Chaos Calamity Dragon and the Shadow Dream Charm Dragon. Otherwise, Li Xuanji would have already become the 9th ancestral dragon. After a brief examination, Long Chen found nothing. He temporarily put away the Chaos Bone Sword and the psychedelic pendant. Then, he looked at the 25 progenitor life forms outside the barrier. In the entire progenitor world, besides the 4 progenitor divine armaments, there were only 25 progenitor life forms left. However, it was clear that the primogenitor life forms didn't know how to leave the primogenitor's world. Otherwise, they would have left long ago and wouldn't have waited for Long Chen to arrive. Both sides temporarily confronted each other. Qi Yi's death made the remaining 7 progenitor Qilins incomparably furious. But they were unable to break this barrier. Furthermore, with Long Chen guarding here, they also didn't dare to casually approach the barrier. Even if the primogenitor ghostly fox was resourceful, he also couldn't think of any good way to deal with Long Chen now. He could only say probingly, "God won. It's time for you guys to make a move." When these words came out, if it were some suspicious people, they would probably stir up some trouble. Since he was idle, the primogenitor ghostly fox thought of giving Long Chen some trouble. It was just a pity that Long Chen wasn't such a person. He could tell that the progenitor divine armaments sincerely wanted to cooperate with him. Otherwise, if they really wanted to make a move, when he was fighting with Qi Yi just now, the progenitor divine armaments would have already made a move. That was the best opportunity to kill Long Chen. Don't waste your energy. Continue attacking this barrier if you have the guts. The way I see it, your guts are all broken from fear. Ha! Shen San couldn't help but laugh out loud. When he saw Qi Yi being killed and the looks of disbelief on the faces of the traitors, Shen San felt rather satisfied. Now, what he hoped the most was that Long Chen could find a way to leave the primogenitor world. It was just a pity that the 25 primogenitor life forms outside the barrier wouldn't leave so easily. This meant that Long Chen was equivalent to being trapped in this huge beehive. Life in the primogenitor world was really too boring. They wanted to experience different life forms. It was precisely because of this that they were determined to follow Long Chen. Since there's no way for now, I'll search those caves again. There might still be some sky-swallowing clan members hidden that I haven't discovered. Long Chen couldn't think of any good ideas and could only make such a decision. But just as he turned around and wanted to search those caves on the huge beehive again, there was suddenly a sinister and terrifying voice that entered Long Chen's ears. "Kid, do you know that the divine demon Holy Lord has already recovered his strength and knows that you've come to the primogenitor world?" This voice seemed to be coming from the 9 largest caves. However, Long Chen couldn't be sure which cave it was coming from. Hearing this voice, Long Chen's heart sank. This voice made one feel a deep sense of evil. It also contained the spirit of devouring everything. It was definitely a powerful and terrifying existence that belonged to the sky-swallowing clan. It was very likely that one of the sky-swallowing clan holy lords sealed in the 9 large caves was speaking. Long Chen had already guessed that there was a sky-swallowing clan holy lord sealed in the 9 large caves. Therefore, he wasn't very surprised to hear this voice. However, what made him very anxious was the content of this sentence. The divine demon Holy Lord had actually recovered his strength and knew that he had come to the primogenitor world. If this sentence was true, then the infinite worlds was definitely in an extremely dangerous situation. They might even have been destroyed by the divine demon Holy Lord. If the divine demon Holy Lord had completely recovered his strength, all the fourth era's ancestral gods in the infinite worlds together wouldn't be able to stop him. Endless fury burned in Long Chen's eyes. It was as if he could see the myriad of worlds collapsing and being destroyed under the attacks of the divine demon lords. Billions of living beings vanished into thin air, and even the slightly improved dragon sacrificial continent would completely collapse. Go back. This voice occupied Long Chen's entire mind. He didn't respond to the unknown sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord's words. Instead, he started to think calmly. The ancestral divine dragons left the primogenitor world and opened up the infinite worlds. Then, where would the passage to the infinite worlds appear? Originally, Long Chen was a little worried about the situation of the infinite worlds. Especially after hearing the evil words of the sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord, he was even more anxious. The entire primogenitor world is a vast and boundless scene. The ancestral life forms searched the entire primogenitor world but couldn't find the passage to leave. And the only place that the ancestral life forms haven't been to is the ancestral divine dragon's lair. Long Chen quickly understood this point and locked his gaze on the huge beehive in front of him. If he wanted to leave the primogenitor world, it was very likely that he had to go through the ancestral divine dragon's lair, the huge beehive. Chapter 3681. Long Chen's logic was very clear. In order to leave the primordial world and return to the infinite worlds, they most likely had to start from the ancestor dragon's nest. After all, in the entire primordial world, this was the only place that the other primordial life forms had not been to. If the exit was somewhere else, how could the primordial life forms not have been able to find it? I don't know who the sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord is, but regardless of whether he's telling the truth or not, I have to return as soon as possible. Long Chen was burning with anxiety. Without any hesitation, he ignored the remaining 25 primordial life forms and immediately flew towards the huge beehive in an attempt to find the path back to the infinite worlds. Li Xuanji was also very anxious. She pondered for a moment before saying to Long Chen, "When we were slaughtering the sky-swallowing clan, there seemed to be many caves that were rather deep, and there didn't seem to be any sky-swallowing clan in some of the caves. You didn't go deep. Perhaps the path to leave the primordial world and return to the infinite worlds is in one of these caves? I remember there were a few caves. Let's search these caves first." Shen Yi said to Long Chen. Long Chen nodded with a solemn expression. Time was too tight. If he wanted to return to the infinite worlds as soon as possible, he could only search those caves first. Hopefully, it wouldn't take too long. After the sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord finished his sentence, there was no more movement. However, the evil aura contained in his words and his eerie smile were all deeply imprinted in Long Chen's mind. He dared not waste a single moment. Outside the barrier, the 25 primordial life forms had been paying attention to Long Chen's actions. When they saw him flying towards the huge beehive anxiously, the 25 primordial life forms became excited again. Do you think he encountered something important? He seems to be very anxious. Why don't we continue to bombard that barrier? As long as we break through the barrier, that brat will have nowhere to go. Maybe he's just playing hard to get. I don't think we should be anxious. Let's wait until he's far away. The primogenitors whispered to each other as they paid close attention to Long Chen's whereabouts. Only when Long Chen's figure disappeared from their sight and disappeared into the shadow of the beehive did they let out a sigh of relief. Following that, all of them grew bolder and approached the barrier once more. They wanted to work together to break through the barrier. After all, to these primogenitors, the ancestral source was simply too attractive. With the ancestral root, not only would their strength receive a relatively great increase, they wouldn't have to suffer the pain of having their lifespans exhausted, and they would obtain eternal life. Outside the Ancestor Divine Dragon's lair, the obstructing barrier shook once again. However, without Qi, the speed at which they attacked the barrier was much slower than before. Long Chen, on the other hand, kept searching in the huge beehive. He listened to Li Xuanji and Shen Yi's suggestion and headed towards the few caves that didn't have the sky-swallowing clan in his memory. First, he entered the first pitch-black cave with a diameter of 4 to 5 meters. There wasn't any strange aura in the cave. Moreover, he reached the end of the cave after walking tens of meters. Looks like this cave was formed naturally. There isn't any sky-swallowing clan sealed inside. It's just an ordinary cave. Long Chen searched and confirmed that there weren't any traps in the cave. Then, he left the cave and headed towards the next cave that didn't have the sky-swallowing clan sealed inside. After searching for a few times and 5 times, Long Chen finally arrived at a pitch-black cave with a diameter of more than 10 meters. Now that Long Chen had found the path, she became even more anxious. Perhaps it was because she was about to return to the infinite world and see the current situation of the infinite world, so she was very nervous. Divine Demon Holy Lord, if he dares to destroy the infinite world, I will definitely kill him. Endless anger flashed in Long Chen's eyes as he quickened his pace forward. If the Divine Demon Lord really recovers his strength, he will definitely destroy the myriad worlds. The only thing I can't be sure of right now is whether what the evil voice said just now is true or not. Has the Divine Demon Lord really fully recovered his strength? Li Xuanji was even more worried. She thought of Lingxi, Xiaolang, Kitten and the others who were still in the infinite world, and the billions of living beings in the infinite world. Her heart couldn't help but beat faster. As long as I go back, I will know. Long Chen spoke in a low voice. Even though his speed grew faster and faster, his footsteps grew steadier and steadier. When he finally stepped into an expanse of boundless white nothingness, the time and space in his surroundings became chaotic, and this allowed him to know that the moment he returned to the myriad of worlds wasn't far away. Everything in the ancestors' world had been left far behind him. There were 2 things. 1. This Saturday, 18 a.m. WeChat, Feng Qingyang, send red packets, remember to follow. 500 yuan. 2. The new book is about to be released. At that time, there will be many activities and gifts. Please look forward to it. Chapter 3682. The blurry scene around Long Chen gradually disappeared and he appeared in the mysterious ancestral dragon cave. Unknowingly, he had left the primogenitor's world and returned to the infinite worlds. I'm back. Long Chen was anxious. He returned to the mysterious and deep ancestral dragon cave as fast as he could. Soon, he saw the endless dragon sacrificial continent and the situation of the entire infinite worlds. At this moment, he realized that the entire infinite worlds had not changed. He stretched out his hand and easily grabbed some life particles. They were the life particles that the Divine Demon Lord had evolved into. After crushing them, they turned into even smaller life particles that still had a strong life force. They grew and multiplied endlessly, and would never be extinguished. The Divine Demon Holy Lord has not awakened. His power has not fully recovered. Long Chen instantly realized that the sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord's words in the primogenitor's world were lies. As for the purpose of lying to him, perhaps it was to get him to leave the ancestral dragon lair and not kill all the sealed sky-swallowing clan Holy Lords. Although Long Chen could not deal with the sky-swallowing clan Holy Lords in the 9 caves, he could slaughter all the sky-swallowing clan Holy Lords in the other caves. If there were only a few sacred lords left in the sky-swallowing clan, it would become an incomplete sky-swallowing clan. Although the sacred lords might still be able to reproduce, it would take too much time. So, what the voice said was all lies. It was lying to us. Li Xuanji also heaved a sigh of relief. She had been worried about everyone in the infinite worlds, and now, she could finally put her mind at ease. This is the world outside the primogenitor's world, the one known as the infinite worlds? The moment Shen 1 and the other 3 ancestor divine mites stepped out of the mysterious ancestral dragon cave, they were all excited. To the 4 ancestor divine mites, the primogenitor's world was the only place they were born in. They had never been to other places outside the primogenitor's world. But now, they were here. As expected, following Long Chen was the right choice. We finally came out of the primogenitor's world. There was some excitement in Shen San's tone. He could not wait to come out. Most importantly, they realized that the God-fiend Holy Lord had yet to appear. He was still resting in the state of life particles. This meant that they still had time to experience the true wonders of life. The battle with the sky-swallowing clan would not start so soon. The ancestral divine might could relax for a while. In the following period of time, they would experience a completely different life from before. Although we can't kill the divine demon Holy Lord in the state of life particles, he can't do anything in this state. He won't appear again until he recovers his peak strength. In that case, let's go back to the infinite worlds to take a look, Long Chen said, and prepared to return to the infinite worlds. First, he had to confirm how much time had passed in the primogenitor's world. The time in the primogenitor's world was too fleeting. Long Chen had no concept of time at all. But after returning to the infinite worlds, time became meaningful. Moreover, he had obtained the world origin of the prehistoric Calamity Dragon and the Phantom Dream Dragon, which were the prehistoric Bone Sword and the psychedelic pendant respectively. He had to enter the Tower of Time and study it carefully to see if he could find any information about the origin dragon soul. The current Long Chen was still unable to use the primordial Bone Sword and the psychedelic pendant. The only thing he lacked was the origin dragon soul. If he could find the origin dragon souls of the 7th and 9th ancestral dragons, not only would Long Chen's strength increase greatly, but even Li Xuanji would be able to transform into the Umbra Dream Dragon and possess power comparable to the 4th epoch's origin ancestor god. Long Chen had finally returned from the primogenitor's world. Sacred Lord God-fiend didn't make a move, so he first returned to the myriad worlds and brought the ancestral divine might out from the divine kingdom. The ancestral divine might were very curious about this new world. They constantly looked around, taking in all the scenes in the myriad worlds. Deep in their hearts, there was a sense of yearning. In the infinite worlds, there were billions of living beings, gods, and demons. Their lives were incomparably wonderful. Love, hate, anger, sorrow, and joy made the 4 primogenitor divine mites indulge in it. Let me introduce you to my friends first. From now on, we are all on the same side. If there's anything, we can help each other. Long Chen said to the primogenitor divine mites. The primogenitor divine mites nodded. I look forward to meeting more friends. In the primogenitor's world, there are only us old fellows. It's so boring. Shen Si laughed. He looked at the infinite worlds and felt unprecedentedly comfortable. When Long Chen returned to the infinite worlds, Lingxi, Xiaolang, Kitten, and the others all received the news. They hurried over to welcome Long Chen and the 4 primogenitor divine mites together with the 4th epoch's primogenitor divine mites. From then on, with the 4 primogenitor divine mites joining the alliance, the infinite worlds became much stronger than before. Moreover, Long Chen trusted the primogenitor divine mites very much. This was because the 4 of them had accompanied Long Chen in the primogenitor's world to face the other primogenitor lifeforms. If they didn't trust him, it would be impossible. Trust was mutual. If they trusted Long Chen so much, Long Chen would naturally trust them as well. Long Chen first introduced the primogenitor divine mites to everyone. Then, he introduced Lingxi and the others, as well as the 4th epoch's primogenitor divine mites. Looks like we have 4 more comrades. The primogenitor divine mites smiled kindly and befriended the primogenitor divine mites. When they learned that the primogenitor divine mites were fighting together with Long Chen in the primogenitor's world against the other primogenitor lifeforms, the primogenitor divine mites were very friendly to them. After experiencing those tense days in the primogenitor's world, Long Chen, who had returned to the infinite worlds and found that the divine demon lord had yet to recover, could finally relax for a while. After the primogenitor divine mites got to know everyone, they began to travel around the infinite worlds. This was the life they had been longing for. One could imagine how happy they were. When they thought of the 6 primogenitor lifeforms that betrayed them and joined the team to seize the ancestral source, the primogenitor divine mites were especially glad. Fortunately, they had persevered and stood on Long Chen's side. That was how they could see the wonderful infinite worlds outside the primogenitor's world, and Long Chen took advantage of this relaxing time to tell Lingxi, Xiaolang and the others everything he had experienced in the primogenitor's world. So the sky-swallowing clan was sealed in the primogenitor's world's primogenitor divine dragon lair. After everyone heard it, they were all amazed. This meant that they had finally found the place where the sky-swallowing clan was sealed. As long as they had enough power, they could wipe out the entire sky-swallowing clan. Chapter 3683. The sky-devouring clan was the enemy of the world. They had a deep-seated hatred with Long Chen. In order to deal with the sky-devouring clan, not only Long Chen, everyone else was willing to give their all. Now, if I want to improve my battle strength, the simplest way is to find the original dragon souls of the prehistoric Calamity Dragon and the Shadow Dream Charm Dragon. I can only find clues from the prehistoric Bone Sword and the psychedelic pendant. Long Chen, Lingxi, Xiaolang and the others rested for 2 days. After enjoying the 2 days, he knew that everyone was working hard without being lazy at all. Everyone's battle strength had become much greater than before. After that, he entered the 4th story of the Tower of Time and focused on the prehistoric Bone Sword and the psychedelic pendant, the 2 sources of the immortal dragon world. Prehistoric Bone Sword. It contains the rule of prehistoric calamity and disaster. Perhaps, it contains the information about the original dragon soul of the prehistoric Calamity Dragon. In the Tower of Time, Long Chen's spiritual energy entered the wilderness Bone Sword as he started to search it meticulously. Layers of fog surrounded Long Chen's mind. This was the protective power of the Great Desolate Bone Sword. It contained the laws of the Great Desolate Era and Calamity. If it wasn't for this protective power, the information hidden within would have been obtained by Qi. Qi had integrated with the prehistoric Bone Sword for many years. However, he didn't discover any deeper secrets from it. It could be seen that it would not be smooth for Long Chen to find the original dragon's soul of the 7th ancestral dragon. However, as long as there was any information left by the 7th ancestral dragon, Long Chen would be able to obtain it after spending some time. What he was afraid of was that the 7th ancestral dragon didn't leave any information. This possibility might be fatal. However, Long Chen believed that the 7th ancestral dragon should have given him some hints. These hints were most likely in the prehistoric Bone Sword. After Long Chen calmed his mind, the heavy fog within the primal desolation Bone Sword constantly dispersed in all directions. At every moment, Long Chen felt as though the fog had been pushed aside and he could see the clouds. However, every time the fog dispersed, even more fog appeared in front of him. The fog seemed to be endless as it surrounded him layer by layer. Even his escape route was completely blocked. Right now, Long Chen could only move forward. In order to protect the myriad worlds, his family and brothers, and the billions of demon supremacies, Long Chen had to find the location of the 7th ancestral dragon's origin dragon soul, increase his own strength, and completely annihilate the sky-devouring clan. The dense fog was uncovered layer by layer. Long Chen didn't know how much time had passed in the Tower of Time. In the wilderness bone sword, Long Chen's concept of time became blurred once again. Around Long Chen, there was nothing but fog. It was as if the fog was endless. Even Long Chen wasn't sure how much time had passed. Finally, he encountered a barrier that was similar to the one outside the ancestor divine dragon. This should be a barrier to prevent others from peeping into the secret. However, it was useless to Long Chen. Finally found it? Long Chen became spirited. Now that he had seen something other than the dense fog, could it be that the secret hidden in the primal desolation bone sword was about to be revealed? After Long Chen passed through this barrier, an extremely familiar scene appeared in front of him. It was a huge beehive-like existence in a vast expanse of whiteness. The lair of the ancestor divine dragon. Long Chen's heart pounded. After taking a closer look, he realized that there was a faint attractive force coming from the largest caves in the lair of the ancestor divine dragon, as if it was guiding him to hide something in those caves. Could this be the whereabouts of the origin dragon soul? Within the primordial bone sword, he parted the layers of thick fog. After an unknown amount of time, Long Chen actually found the scene of the ancestor divine dragon's lair. This must be the universe primordial calamity dragon showing him something. It was very likely that the origin dragon soul of the universe chaos calamity dragon was hidden in one of those huge caves. Thinking about it, this was the most likely possibility. Because whether it was the ancestor's world or the infinite worlds, there had been no news of it. If it was hidden in the lair of the ancestor divine dragon, it would explain why he couldn't find it. Long Chen was still worried that he was wrong. After his consciousness left the primal desolation bone sword, he once again entered the psychedelic pendant. Endless psychedelic rules surrounded him. Just like in the primal desolation bone sword, he spent an unknown amount of time and finally found the scene of the ancestor divine dragon's lair in the deepest part of the psychedelic pendant. If only one of the primal desolation bone sword and the psychedelic pendant gave such a hint, he might have misunderstood it. However, since both of them gave such a hint, he could basically be sure. The origin dragon souls of the 7th and 9th ancestral dragon were hidden in the ancestor's world, in the lair of the ancestor divine dragon. After this discovery, Long Chen left the Tower of Time and found Mo Xiaolang. I've spent a month searching for the origins of these two worlds. Now, I'm going back to the ancestor's world to try to get the origin dragon souls of the 7th and 9th ancestral dragon. Xiaolang, come with me to devour the fire attribute sky-devouring clan sealed in the lair of the ancestor divine dragon. How about that, said Long Chen. Of course, Mo Xiaolang was willing. Previously, Long Chen had told him about it when he first came back. Mo Xiaolang was looking forward to it. If I devour the power of the sky-devouring clan, my strength will definitely increase a lot. Then, I'll be able to help you more. Then, Long Chen took Mo Xiaolang and Li Xuanji to his own celestial kingdom and prepared to set off for the ancestor's world again. Before leaving, Long Chen inquired about the 4 ancestor divine mites. He found out that the 4 of them were actually separated in the infinite worlds and had transformed into 4 ordinary people. They traveled in different worlds and experienced all kinds of reality and love and hatred. This was probably the only time they could enjoy life. After all, once the sky-devouring clan holy lords woke up and recovered their strength, they would definitely help to resist. In the process of battle, it was normal to have some sacrifices. Who knew, they might be devoured by the sky-devouring clan holy lords. The ancestral divine mites didn't act recklessly. Rather, they enjoyed this rare freedom and richness, so no one paid any attention to them. The ancestor gods of the 4th era had cautiously looked at the 4 of them at first, but now, they turned a blind eye to them and completely regarded them as one of their own. Let's go. Long Chen knew that time was of the essence. The earlier they got the origin dragon soul, the earlier they could fuse with it and increase their strength. Then, they would be more confident in the battle against the sky-devouring clan holy lords. Tomorrow at 18 p.m., they would send the password for the Alipay red packet on WeChat. Once they received the password, they would open their Alipay account and enter the password for the red packet. Those who did not follow could search for Feng Qingyang on WeChat. Follow and wait for me to send it on time. Chapter 3684. The origin of immortal dragons was covered with dense mist and shadows. Long Chen took Mo Xiaolang and Li Xuanji into the immortal country. After that, he entered the origin of immortal dragons once again. This time, the scene was the same as last time. However, Long Chen felt much more reassured. Last time, Long Chen didn't know what was in the depth of the origin of immortal dragons. However, now, he knew that it was the primogenitor's world. Fear and restlessness came from the unknown. After Long Chen knew what was in the origin of immortal dragons, he didn't feel scared or restless anymore. However, he was still a bit nervous about entering the primogenitor's world in such a way. After all, if he entered the primogenitor's world and was chased by those primogenitors again, he might encounter dangers. Additionally, Long Chen didn't know how to find the cave which contained the original dragon's soul among the 9 huge caves. What if I break the seal and release the master of Sky-devouring clan? Zhang Tai had to consider this possibility carefully. However, he might cross the bridge when he came to it. Perhaps, the primitive bone sword and psychedelic pendant could provide him with some clues. Previously, the primitive bone sword and psychedelic pendant were blocked by layers of barriers. Therefore, Long Chen couldn't discover the hidden information in them in the primogenitor's world. However, after exploring the 4th floor of the Tower of Time for almost 1,000 years, Long Chen finally broke the barriers. If he returned to the vicinity of the lair of the ancestor mystical dragon, the primitive bone sword and psychedelic pendant might bring him new clues. Of course, there might not be any clues. Everything could only be known after Long Chen returned to the vicinity of the lair of the ancestor mystical dragon. In the depth of the origin of immortal dragons, time started to be chaotic once again. Perhaps, time became meaningless in the primogenitor's world. After an unknown period of time, Long Chen finally passed through the passage and returned to the misty primogenitor world. Then, without any hesitation, he quickly flew in the direction of the ancestor dragon's lair. In order to obtain the 7th and 9th ancestral dragon's origin dragon souls as soon as possible, Long Chen did not do anything meaningless. Instead, he flew straight to where the ancestor divine dragon was. If the 25 ancestor life forms were still guarding outside the giant beehive, then Long Chen would be able to bypass them as fast as he could and charge into the vicinity of the ancestor divine dragon's nest, passing through the barrier. This place is the birthplace of all primogenitors. The ancestral dragons were also born here. Mo Xiaolang, who had come to the primogenitor world for the first time, felt a little emotional. That's right. The entire Sky-devouring clan should be sealed here, in the lair of the ancestor mystical dragons. Long Chen nodded. Now, Long Chen was already familiar with the route in the primogenitor world. He did not need the ancestor divine might to lead the way. He felt that he was very close to the ancestor mystical dragon's nest. When he was still quite a distance away, Long Chen began to use the Eye of Life Origins to probe the vicinity of the ancestral mystical dragon's lair. It turned out that there were only 6 ancestral lifeforms left guarding it. The other ancestral lifeforms seemed to have left this place after seeing that Long Chen had not returned for a long time. This situation is not too bad for me. Long Chen heaved a sigh of relief. There were only 6 primogenitors guarding. Even if he forced his way through, he would be able to break through the enemy's encirclement. As long as there were not all 25 primogenitors, Long Chen's situation was very advantageous. Soon, he saw the giant beehive of the ancestor mystical dragon. There was still an invisible barrier outside. It seemed that after Long Chen left, these primogenitors did not continue to destroy this barrier. Perhaps they thought that you would not return. Li Xuanji made a slight guess. After thinking about it carefully, this was the only possibility. After all, Long Chen had left this place for a long time. From the perspective of these primogenitors, there was no need for Long Chen to return. However, these primogenitors did not know that the ancestor mystical dragon's nest was a place that Long Chen would definitely return to. Look, that kid is back. The 6 primogenitor life forms that stayed behind were originally chatting idly, but very quickly, they discovered Long Chen, who was approaching at an extremely fast speed. Among them, Ancestor Bei's expression was calm. He immediately commanded the 5 people beside him to take action. They quickly flew towards Long Chen and formed an encirclement. Obviously, they had already conveyed the news of Long Chen's return to the other primogenitors. So long as they were able to buy some time and prevent Long Chen from stepping foot into the barrier, then they would be able to kill Long Chen and seize the 7 ancestral roots in his possession. After killing Huang Yi and Qi Yi, Long Chen's ancestral roots, which were also the ancestral dragon's world origins, had reached 7. This was undoubtedly a great temptation for these primogenitors. Huh, you still want to stop me? Do you know that I have already found the passage to the outside world? Now, the 4 ancestor divine marshals are enjoying a life that they have never enjoyed before. When Long Chen saw the enemies surrounding him, he laughed heartily. He did not slow down and continued to charge into the encirclement. When they heard Long Chen's words, 3 of the primogenitors hesitated for a moment. This was because they were originally on the same side as the ancestor divine marshals and wanted to follow Long Chen. Later on, when they realized that they could not do anything, they betrayed Long Chen and the ancestor divine marshals and stood on the side of the other primogenitors. Therefore, these 3 primogenitors yearned for life in the outside world. When they heard Long Chen's words, they slowed down the encirclement for a moment. This gave Long Chen the best opportunity to break out of the encirclement. Sky Blood River. The bloodlust sword flashed with scarlet light and drew a long river. The sword intent reached the sky and the blood river spread. In an instant, a path of blood was broken through the encirclement of the remaining 3 primogenitors. The 3 primogenitors, including Bai Zai, had their laws broken by this sword. An opening appeared in the encirclement and Long Chen passed through. What are you doing? Bai Zai could not help but feel angry. If the 6 of them had surrounded him, Long Chen would definitely not have been able to escape. However, because of Long Chen's words, the 3 primogenitors on their side actually hesitated for a moment. They only hesitated for a moment and Long Chen directly broke through their encirclement. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens to keep Long Chen here. Long Chen, I am willing to follow you. How about you bring me to the world outside the ancestors' world? The 3 primogenitors ignored Bai Zai and immediately said when they saw that Long Chen had broken through the encirclement. Chapter 3685. Ancestor Bei's could not believe what it was hearing. Are you out of your minds? Bai Zai felt that the 3 of them were unreasonable. Ancestor Tao Tai, Ancestor Hun Dun, and Ancestor Qiong Qi, the 3 primogenitors spread out and actually helped Long Chen block the 3 primogenitors who continued to chase after him. There's nothing unreasonable about it. From the start, I wanted to leave this ancestor's world to experience a more exciting and rich life. It's a pity I chose the wrong side, said Ancestor Tao Tai. Ancestor Qiong Qi and Ancestor Chaos were the same. This made Long Chen face a choice. If he trusted Ancestor Tao Tai and the others now and joined forces to deal with Ancestor Bai Zai, it was very likely that he would be able to capture all 3 of them in one fell swoop. Not only would he gain 3 allies, but he would also be able to weaken the enemy's overall strength by a quarter. With this, Long Chen wouldn't have to be so afraid the next time he encountered the primogenitor lifeforms. However, what if the primogenitor Tao Tai and the other 2 didn't really want to follow Long Chen? If that was the case, Long Chen would be putting himself in danger again if he turned back. Moreover, Long Chen's main goal now was not to deal with these ancestral life forms, but the sky-swallowing clan. If possible, Long Chen hoped that these ancestral life forms would stand on his side. If I don't turn back now, Ancestor Tao Tai, Ancestor Hun Dun, and Ancestor Cheong Chi definitely won't be a match for Ancestor Bai Zai. After all, the other ancestor lifeforms will be here soon. Long Chen thought, and finally made a difficult decision: turn back and help. If primogenitor Tao Tai and the others truly wanted to follow Long Chen, then Long Chen would easily gain 3 new allies now that he had turned back. The biggest reason Long Chen had made up his mind was that even if the primogenitor Tao Tai and the others went back on their word and trapped him in an encirclement of the 6 primogenitor lifeforms, he still had a way to escape. That way, he would be able to see the other party's true colors. After making up his mind, Long Chen turned around and swung the slaughtering blood sword at Ancestor Bai Zai. The blood-colored sword light slashed down. Let's deal with them together. After killing them, follow me into the lair of Zulong. Long Chen's words were concise and to the point as he spoke to the trio. Ancestral Tao Tai, Ancestral Cheong Chi, and Ancestral Primordial Chaos revealed looks of joy the moment Long Chen turned around. I didn't think that you would really come back. The heavens are really helping me. Ancestral Tao Tai laughed wildly. Bai Zai, look. Although we were careless and allowed this kid to escape, didn't we just need to say a word and he still came running back? This brat still calls himself the ancestral dragon successor, but he was actually played in circles by us. The ancestral Tao Tai was actually deceiving Long Chen. At this moment, because Long Chen had turned around to deal with Ancestor Bai Zai, he was once again surrounded by his opponents. The moment he heard the ancestral Tao Tai's words, Long Chen understood the other party's plan. His eyes were instantly filled with anger. The ancestral Tao Tai and the other 2 had indeed been careless because of Long Chen's words, allowing Long Chen to break out of the encirclement. But immediately after, they beat him at his own game and actually said that they wanted to follow Long Chen to lure Long Chen back. To Ancestor Bai Zai, this was equivalent to making up for their mistakes. Otherwise, the ancestral Tao Tai and the other 2 would definitely face harsh criticism from the other primogenitors. Looks like I made the wrong choice. Yi Futian sighed. Long Chen held the slaughtering blood sword tightly in his left hand. The necklace of fate floated up and the chain of time trembled. The 3 great nomological laws once again condensed into one. The bloody slaughtering blood red, the chaotic time blue, and the changing fate white. The 3 great nomological laws once again fused together. 99 giant divine dragon heads appeared in the void and blasted towards the 6 primogenitors who had surrounded them again. It was this 3-colored dragon origin nomological law that broke Qi Yi's powerful technique, the 9 ultimate calamity. Furthermore, it allowed Long Chen to take the opportunity to kill Qi Yi and obtain the universe origin of the primordial calamity dragon, the primordial bone sword. Now, this tyrannical move appeared again, causing the expressions of Ancestor Bai Zai and the others to become incomparably solemn. The 3 of us will block this move. The 3 of you, use all your strength to confine him. As Ancestor Bai Zai spoke, he opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of nomological power that didn't carry any attributes. He took the lead and faced the 33 bloody divine dragon heads. The other 2 progenitor life forms beside him also activated their own nomological powers and blasted at the other 2 colors of the 33 divine dragon head silhouettes. In an instant, Long Chen's tyrannical nomological law was resisted on the spot. Ancestor Tao Tai, Ancestor Cheongqi, and Ancestor Hun Dun launched a ferocious nomological attack at Long Chen at the same time. The nomological laws that the primogenitors grasped were mostly non-attribute. Only after fusing with the ancestral origin could they comprehend nomological laws with attributes. Now, the three types of non-attribute nomological power from Ancestor Taotai, Ancestor Qiongqi, and Ancestor Hun Dun actually condensed into one in mid-air and suppressed Long Chen with boundless ferocity. When the three powers combined, this thick nomological power's destructive power was extremely terrifying. As long as it touched Long Chen, he would be completely smashed into pieces. Time. Entanglement. The time chains that were wrapped around Long Chen's body made ka sounds again at this moment. The ancient time nomological law instantly condensed. Previously, he used this move to freeze the time around Qi, thus destroying the barrier that pulled Qi in. Now, when this move was used on the nomological power that the three primogenitors had combined to condense, it actually produced an unparalleled effect. The ancient time nomological law instantly caused everything in the surroundings to completely stop, including the combined nomological power of the three primogenitors. The 3-in-1 nomological power that was about to hit Long Chen and block his path was completely entangled by the time nomological law at this moment. Taking advantage of this moment, Long Chen moved and once again rushed out of the encirclement of the 6 primogenitors. At this moment, the 3 primogenitors finally shattered the 99 divine dragon heads of the tricolored dragon origin. However, they realized that Long Chen had already rushed out of the encirclement and entered the barrier outside the lair of Zulong. It was over. Primogenitor Beiza's face darkened. It was obvious that once Long Chen entered the barrier of the lair of Zulong, it would be very difficult for the primogenitors to do anything to Long Chen. Unexpectedly, the 6 primogenitors joined forces to block Long Chen but still failed. This made Primogenitor Beiz very angry. I didn't expect his nomological method to be so powerful. Primogenitor Hun Dun, Taotai, and Qiongqi looked at each other. Logically speaking, the combined nomological power of the three of them should have been able to stop Long Chen. However, they did not expect their nomological power to be entangled by time. Although it was only for a moment, it was enough for Long Chen to rush out. Yes. Gentle reminder, at 18 p.m. sharp, a 500 yuan red packet will be distributed on the official WeChat account Feng Qingyang. Once you receive the password, open your Alipay account, find the red packet, and enter the password to receive it. For those who have not followed him, quickly tap on WeChat, add him as a friend, and search for Feng Qingyang. Only those with a big account are me. Chapter 3686. Including the primogenitor Beiz, the 6 primogenitor lifeforms could only watch from outside the barrier as Long Chen passed through the barrier and approached the lair of the Zulong. Soon, the other primogenitor lifeforms that the primogenitor Beiz had informed arrived outside the barrier. The 25 primogenitor lifeforms had gathered together so quickly. What a waste! The 6 of you surrounded one, but he still managed to escape. After the 7 primogenitor phoenixes arrived, Huang Er couldn't help but curse. Huang, one of the primogenitor phoenixes, had been killed by Long Chen, and the illusionary pendant had been stolen. The remaining 7 primogenitor phoenixes wanted nothing more than to tear Long Chen into pieces. It was a mistake to leave all of you here to guard. The 7 primogenitor Qilins had also arrived. They were also furious that Qi Wan had been killed by Long Chen. Now, they finally had a chance to encircle Long Chen, but Long Chen had escaped. How could they not be furious? To be honest, even if all of you were here, the result would have been the same. The primogenitor Beiz said faintly. The other party was scolding all 6 of them, so he was too lazy to explain. Back then, when they realized that Long Chen had left the primogenitor world, none of them were willing to stay in guard. In the end, the 6 of them had drawn lots. Now that they had failed to stop Long Chen, they were blamed for it. What a joke. All of you, stop talking. The most important thing now is to kill that brat, not fight amongst ourselves. The primogenitor Ghostly Fox's eerie voice sounded, slightly calming the quarrel. After all, they weren't stupid. They knew that fighting amongst themselves was useless. They had to think of a way to lure Long Chen out, or they had to work together to break the barrier. If Long Chen had stayed by the barrier, these primogenitor lifeforms wouldn't have dared to approach the barrier. After all, Qi-Wen's death had deeply affected them. What if one of them was captured by Long Chen? That would be a huge loss. They did not want to lose anyone now, so of course they could not destroy the barrier in front of Long Chen. However, the progenitors soon realized that after Long Chen rushed through the barrier, he did not guard the other side of the barrier, but approached the ancestor dragon's nest. From the looks of it, this brat has returned with a goal. This is good for us. We can attack the barrier and try to break it as soon as possible. Bai Zhe said calmly. Seeing that Long Chen was far away, he and the other primogenitors approached the barrier and used the power of rules to attack it. Originally, they were about to break the barrier, but because Long Chen had disappeared, they did not think that Long Chen would return, so they did not continue to attack. After such a long time, the damage that the barrier had suffered was almost completely healed. Therefore, it was equivalent to them starting to attack the barrier again, and it would take a long time. As for Long Chen, of course, he did not have time to waste with them behind the barrier. He returned to the primogenitor world because he had his own things to do. First was to obtain the origin dragon souls of the Universe Chaos Calamity Dragon and the Shadow Dream Demon Dragon. Therefore, Long Chen first came to the 9 huge caves and frowned slightly. The 9 caves have all been sealed by the ancestor mystical dragons. Most of the sky-swallowing clan's holy lords are sealed within. I wonder if opening these caves will release the sky-swallowing clan's holy lords? Long Chen thought. The divine demon holy lord was the weakest of the sky-swallowing clan holy lords, but even so, he could not eliminate him. If another one was released, the situation would definitely become very bad. However, they could clearly feel the difference between them and Xiao Lang. Therefore, these sun-devouring demonic wolves exploded instantly, and the flames in the cave surged towards Xiao Lang and Long Chen. It was a pity that these sun-devouring demonic wolves were not of a high level, and were far inferior to Xiao Lang. They could not possibly hurt Long Chen. I'll leave these to you. As for me, I'll guard you against the big ones. Long Chen did not make a move. Instead, he looked around vigilantly to prevent the king of sun-devouring demonic wolves from appearing. Xiao Lang responded and attacked. The dead spirit blood fire and primordial myriad calamity fire burst out and enveloped all the sun-devouring demonic wolves. Then, he used the devouring law to devour all the sun-devouring demonic wolves. These sun-devouring demonic wolves could not retaliate against Xiao Lang's devouring. After a few of them were devoured, they retreated. At the same time, an angry roar came from the depths of the cave. You divine dragon's lackey, how dare you come to my cave and behave atrociously? You must be tired of living. A gigantic fire demon wolf dashed out from the depths of the cavern. Boundless laws of fire swept towards the little wolf, threatening to engulf it. The king of sun-devouring demonic wolves has appeared. At this time, Long Chen finally moved. Chapter 3687. The sun-devouring demonic wolf king that appeared in front of Long Chen and wolf cub had strength equivalent to the 4th epoch's primordial ancestor god, but it was slightly stronger. This was nothing to Long Chen. This level of sky-devouring clan was considered one of the stronger ones in all the caves. There weren't many of them, so killing one was one. You're also from the sky-devouring clan, but you've embarrassed the sun-devouring wolf king. You've become the dog of the divine dragon. You're a disgrace to the sky-devouring clan. The sun-devouring wolf king snorted as soon as it appeared. Then, it called the smaller sun-devouring wolves to retreat. It knew that in a battle of this level, it was useless. I'm different from you. Little Wolf remained unmoved. The sun-devouring monstrous wolves beside him had either been devoured by him or called to the back by the sun-devouring monstrous wolf king. So he stopped and glanced at the sun-devouring monstrous wolf king. The soul in my body isn't the soul of the sky-devouring clan. So, devouring you sky-devouring clan members is no different to eating to me. Xiao Lang said in disdain. Damn it, the sun-devouring demonic wolf king's eyes flickered with a fierce light. When it heard Long Chen's words, it immediately roared. The cave was instantly filled with the law of fire. These eternal flames condensed into an earth-shattering wolf fang that attacked Long Chen and the wolf cub. Sky Blood River. Long Chen swung the slaughtering blood sword in his hand. It was as if a blood light was sprinkled from hell. The scarlet light converged into a terrifying sword light that slashed down, breaking all the flame fangs that the sun-devouring wolf king had cast. Time entanglement. Long Chen didn't intend to waste time with the sun-devouring wolf king. The time chain on his body moved and a wave of time power from before the origin of life instantly entangled the sun-devouring wolf king. However, the sun-devouring wolf king's techniques weren't bad. It was difficult to kill it with just these two moves. Demon Wolf devours fire. As the sun-devouring monstrous wolf king's fiery red body turned black, the flames burning on its body turned pitch black. The pitch-black flames surged and actually broke through that instant of time binding. Immediately after, the law of devouring and the law of black flames fused together, forming a long river of flames that instantly covered Long Chen's entire body. But in the next moment, 99 three-colored giant divine dragon heads roared out of the black flames. They broke through the fire-devouring rule power of the demonic wolves and instantly surged towards the sun-devouring demonic wolf king. In the next moment, the sun-devouring demonic wolf king's black flames turned into a giant shield, but it was still sent flying by the giant divine dragon head formed by the tricolored dragon origin. It slammed heavily into the cave wall, causing the entire cave to shake violently. The blood spirit devouring soul is over. Long Chen held the slaughtering blood sword in his hand, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. A scarlet swordlight that was infused with a mysterious power from the dragon jade seal slashed at the sun-devouring demonic wolf king's body. The rule power of the blood spirit devouring soul began to tear at the other party's soul. Soon, the other party's soul would be completely crushed and killed. Lackeys of the divine dragons. Sacred lords, will never let you off. Especially, traitors. The sun-devouring demonic wolf king's soul was constantly being drained, but it still struggled to say such a sentence. It stared at Xiao Lang as though Xiao Lang was its greatest enemy. This mentality was understandable. It was like Long Chen had encountered a human who stood on the side of the sky-devouring clan to deal with him. Long Chen calculated and knew that there was still a lot of time left for them. Hence, he did not care about the primogenitors. After devouring the fire-type sky-devouring clan, Wolf Cub should be able to reach the level of the Fourth Era's primordial ancestor god. By then, the combat power of Long Chen's side would increase again. Moreover, Long Chen's current situation was different from the previous time. Previously, Long Chen was trapped within the barrier and had no way out. This time, however, Long Chen knew how to leave the primogenitor world and head to the infinite worlds. The pitch-black cave in the lair of Zulong was also blocked by a barrier. Long Chen could bring people through it and return to the infinite worlds. However, the ancestor life forms would need to spend an endless amount of time to break the barrier. This was where Long Chen felt most at ease. Even if the 25 ancestor life forms broke the barrier and entered, Long Chen would have enough time to leave. However, they would not be able to follow them to the infinite worlds. Even if they did, the infinite worlds would not need to be afraid of the 25 ancestor life forms. Of course, in that case, a scene similar to the Fourth Era's ancestor god's civil war would happen again. Long Chen did not want to see that. How to deal with the 25 ancestor life forms was a problem. The best way was to get them to join him. However, this was extremely difficult. At least at this stage, there was no hope. Moreover, Long Chen did not have a good impression of Ancestor Chaos, Ancestor Tao Tai, and Ancestor Cheong Qi. Even if such traitors stood on his side, how could he guarantee that they would not betray and help the Sky-Devouring clan when the time came? Chapter 3688. After some time, the number of sky-swallowing race minions in Zulong's lair had been reduced to a very small number. Originally, Long Chen had only left some fire attribute sky-swallowing race. Now that he had brought Xiao Lang over to devour a large wave, they quickly wiped out the remaining sky-swallowing race. As Little Wolf finally devoured a fire attribute Sky Devourer of the 4th era's ancestral god level, his aura finally changed. The power in his body experienced a qualitative leap, and he finally stepped into the 4th era's ancestral god level. Since arriving here and starting to devour the sun-devouring demon Wolf King, Wolf Cub had devoured a total of 3/4 epic primordial ancestor god sky-devouring race members. In addition to the thousands of other weak small fries, he had finally achieved a breakthrough in his realm. Just as Long Chen and Xiao Lang had guessed, Xiao Lang, who had stepped into the 4th era ancestral god level, had almost caught up to Lingxi and Long Chen. The gap between him and Long Chen was not huge. I wish I could be like Lingxi and have an emperor ancestor to practice with. Xiao Lang's breakthrough made him itchy. If you want to practice, we have already wiped out the minions of the sky-swallowing race. The remaining 9 caves are filled with sky-swallowing race divine lords. We cannot let them out now. But there is another option. Long Chen squinted his eyes and said, "Aren't there 25 ancestor life forms outside? Each of those ancestor life forms is equivalent to the 4th era ancestral god level. I will think of a way to pull 2 in. Can you handle it? 2 primogenitor lives of the 4th era's primordial ancestral god? I can try." Xiao Lang was excited. Anyone would have such thoughts after their power increased. And even if they could not handle it, wouldn't they still have Long Chen by their side? However, the problem was that as soon as Long Chen got close to the barrier, the 25 progenitor lifeforms would retreat, not giving him a chance to be pulled into the barrier. "Let's go. We'll check out the area around the barrier first. Maybe we'll find an opportunity," Long Chen said. Then, the 2 of them left the lair of Zulong's gigantic beehive and flew towards the outer barrier. Soon, they saw the 25 progenitor life forms attacking the barrier together. The entire barrier was on the verge of collapsing, and a gap was about to appear. Looks like they've discovered some tricks to continuously bombard the barrier. They can use their techniques to inflict more damage on the barrier and break it faster, Long Chen thought. He and Xiao Lang approached the barrier. Long Chen didn't need to be afraid. As long as the barrier wasn't broken, he wouldn't be in any danger. The ones in danger were the primogenitors. Seeing Long Chen and Xiao Lang appear together, the 25 primogenitors were enraged. This kid is working together with the Sky-Swallowing clan. Did this kid work together with the Sky-Swallowing clan? Despicable. As for the 7 ancestral Qilins and ancestral phoenixes, they were all infuriated. Long Chen had already angered them by killing Qilin 1 and Phoenix 1, and now he was colluding with the Sky-Swallowing clan. Because Long Chen had let Xiao Lang stay in God Nation at the start, these progenitor life forms hadn't seen Xiao Lang. Now that they saw Xiao Lang, they naturally thought he was from the Sky-Swallowing clan. Although they were separated by the barrier, the sun-devouring direwolf's aura was clearly transmitted. The progenitor life forms could feel it. Long Chen and the little wolf naturally couldn't be bothered to say anything to him. Seeing Long Chen and Xiao Lang approach, the 25 progenitor life forms wanted to retreat. They didn't want to be pulled in by Long Chen like Qi Yi. However, Long Chen seized the moment when they were cursing at Xiao Lang. The time chains on his body trembled and he instantly swept out of the barrier. Time entanglement. The eternally changing time rule power seemed to come from ancient times. It immediately entangled the two progenitor life forms. They were the ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays. At that instant it was too late for the ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays to retreat. They were completely entangled by the time chains and the time around them stopped. As for the other progenitor life forms, they had already subconsciously retreated. When they realized that the ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays were entangled, it was too late to help. Come in. Long Chen tugged on the time chains and pulled the ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays into the barrier. In the next instant, the time entanglement was broken by the nomological power of the ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays. They instinctively wanted to retreat but realized that they were blocked by the barrier. Only Long Chen could pass through this barrier. Hurry up and work together to break this barrier. The ancestor ghostly fox immediately roared and told the remaining progenitor life forms outside the barrier. The barrier was about to break through, but the arrival of Long Chen and Xiao Lang had disrupted their plans. Since the ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays had been pulled in, they had no other choice but to break through the barrier as soon as possible. As for the ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays, they had to try their best to buy time so that the other progenitor life forms could break through the barrier. Once the barrier was broken, the 25 progenitor life forms would work together to deal with Long Chen. The key was that ancestor bays and ancestor ghostly fox had to buy time for them. The remaining 23 primogenitor lifeforms naturally couldn't retreat at this time. They charged forward and continued to attack the barrier, causing it to tremble even more. Long Chen, you must die today. You killed Qi Yi and Huang Yi. Did you ever think that this day would come? Even if you join forces with the Sky-Swallowing clan, you won't be able to escape from us. Put in more effort. The 23 progenitor life forms gritted their teeth at Long Chen and used all their strength to attack the barrier together. Long Chen could see through their plan and could not help but frown. Xiao Lang, I'll leave these two to you. I'll go and delay the time it takes for them to break through the barrier. After saying that, Long Chen used the time chains on his body and used time entanglement again. Crack crack. Crack crack. The time chains once again entangled the two progenitor life forms. However, this time, Long Chen did not dare to pull them in. Otherwise, if these two joined forces with ancestor bays and ancestor ghostly fox, he and Xiao Lang would have a hard time dealing with them. It was not that they could not defeat them, but it was a matter of time. If Long Chen joined the battle, then the progenitor life forms outside the barrier would definitely be able to break it very quickly. Then, he and Xiao Lang could only run. Now, Long Chen did not want to run. After all, the 7th and 9th ancestral dragon's origin dragon souls were still in the lair of Zulong. Chapter 3689. The ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays, who had been pulled into the barrier, saw that Long Chen was interfering with the others' attacks on the barrier. They wanted to stop him, but Xiao Lang caught up to them at that moment. Your opponent is me. Xiao Lang laughed loudly, and the fire laws around his body rose. Accompanied by 2 streaks of blood fire of the dead spirits, they swept towards the ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays. Ancestor bays and ancestor ghostly fox were both arrogant. They had not taken Xiao Lang seriously at first, but when they felt the terrifying destructive power contained in the 2 streaks of blood fire of the dead spirits, they took him seriously and did not dare to think too much about it. Let's get rid of the Sky-Swallowing clan first. The ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays looked at each other, but did not choose to deal with Long Chen. Instead, they decided to work together to get rid of Xiao Lang first. However, now that Xiao Lang's strength had undergone a transformation, how could he be killed so easily? Ancestor Bays raised its claws, and a domineering whirlwind law was born. Although it was a non-elemental law, the power it contained was equally extraordinary. The whirlwind moved forward quickly, colliding with the blood fire of the dead spirits. Both sides dissipated completely in mid-air, and a wave of airflow rippled in all directions, causing the entire space to tremble. As for the ancestor ghostly fox, it opened its mouth, and a ball of dark spiral law power condensed into a ball, which shot out like a cannonball. When it collided with the blood fire of the dead spirits, both sides exploded, breaking Xiao Lang's preemptive move. Long Qin stood guard by the side of the barrier, using the time chain to perform time entanglement to stop the other party from attacking the barrier. At the same time, he observed Xiao Lang's battle. Although Xiao Lang's strength had undergone a transformation, this was the first time he was dealing with two ancestor lifeforms at the same time. Therefore, he had to be careful at all times. In terms of strength, the current Xiao Lang, after devouring so many members of the fire attribute sky-swallowing clan, had the strength to deal with 3 ancestral gods from the end of the 4th era. However, the ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor Beza's strength surpassed that of the ancestral gods from the end of the 4th era. Therefore, they could not be compared. Ancestral chaos divine wind. Ancestor Beza's eyes shone brightly. It spun rapidly and condensed a whirlwind law that was born out of chaos. In an instant, it covered the sky and swept up everything in the surrounding space. Together, it formed a giant tornado and crashed towards the wolf cub. This primal chaos divine wind was like a tornado that assaulted from a boundless distance away, and it seemed to intend to obliterate and sweep away everything in the world and condense it into a part of itself. Facing such a giant tornado, Xiao Lang transformed into his sun-devouring demon wolf true form. Flames gathered around his body as the eternal sacred flame and death spirit blood fire merged together, forming a giant fire wolf claw. Eternal slaughtering flame claw. The eternal sacred fire was the companion fire of the great void cosmic dragon, an ancestral fire born from the time rule. The dead spirit blood fire, on the other hand, was the companion fire of the primordial blood spiritual dragon, which contained endless slaughter rule. The two merged to form a giant eternal slaughtering flame claw. Facing the ancestor Beza's ancestral chaos divine wind, it slammed down ferociously. Massacre, time, flame, the 3 rules exploded at the same time, forming a giant vortex in the center of the ancestral chaos divine wind. It actually swallowed the giant tornado that was formed from the ancestral chaos divine wind. Ancestor Beza's rule power was easily broken by Xiao Lang. However, what followed was the sneak attack of the ancestor ghostly fox. The ancestor ghostly fox's rule power leaned towards the darkness attribute, but in reality, it had no attribute. This was the unique characteristic of the primogenitors. Just as the primogenitor Beza and the wolf cub were clashing, the primogenitor ogre fox blended into the shadows of the surrounding space, becoming faintly discernible. Just as the eternal massacre flaming claw and the ancestral primal chaos divine wind exploded, the primogenitor ogre fox suddenly launched an attack. Phantom spiral ancestral blade. Countless slender blades were born from the shadows. Their shapes were faintly discernible and were extremely well hidden. They formed from all directions and attacked where Xiao Lang was like raindrops. Torrential rain poured down, and every raindrop was a phantom spiral ancestral blade that could destroy all things. Even if one was hit by any one of these blades, they would most likely be torn to pieces by the power of the laws within. But now, Xiao Lang was facing countless dark blades that filled the sky. The danger was unimaginable, and it made Long Chen nervous. Destiny fire of 10,000 calamities. Xiao Lang's expression was calm, and he didn't seem the least bit afraid. Instead, clusters of brilliant flames appeared all over his body. The Heavenly Emperor ancestral flame and the primordial fire of 10,000 calamities interweaved to form a destiny fire of 10,000 calamities that instantly swept across the entire space. In the space engulfed by the destiny fire of 10,000 calamities, every existence seemed to have encountered an endless calamity. In the endless calamity, their fates were burned to ashes, causing their bodies to completely perish. It wasn't just the shadow spiral ancestral blades that were sweeping over from all directions, even the huge tornado that had just exploded, the ancestral chaos divine wind, was completely incinerated by the myriad tribulations fire and turned into nothingness. Furthermore, the destiny fire of 10,000 calamities continued to spread, and very soon, it enveloped Ancestor Bays and Ancestor Ogre Fox, causing them to instantly face the rule power of the destiny fire of 10,000 calamities. The power of the rule power was about to burn them to ashes. Phantom Spiral Ancestral Shield. The Ancestor Ogre Fox subconsciously used the rule power, and a dark spiral shield wall appeared around him, blocking the endless destiny fire of 10,000 calamities outside. However, Ancestor Bays' reaction was a little slower, mainly because he was closer to Xiaolang, so he didn't have time to activate the rule power to resist, so Xiaolang seized the opportunity. Hole of Nothingness? Devour. Xiaolang took this opportunity to use the devouring rule power decisively. He hid in the destiny fire of 10,000 calamities and attacked Ancestor Bays. In the next instant, the extremely domineering devouring rule power enveloped Ancestor Bays' entire body. Devour. Xiaolang roared, and the devouring rule power was exerted. As Ancestor Bays screamed, the rule power on his body, then his physical body, and finally his soul were all devoured by Xiaolang. Ancestor Bays, who was enveloped by the destiny fire of 10,000 calamities, didn't expect the flames to contain the devouring rule power. He couldn't resist it effectively, and Xiaolang succeeded. What surprised Xiaolang was that after devouring Ancestor Bays, he realized that his power had actually increased. This was undoubtedly a pleasant surprise. Originally, he could only devour existences with the fire attribute to increase his power. But now, why could devouring the life of this ancestor also increase his power? Today, at 17:15, I will send out another red packet on WeChat. Please follow me. Also, I will announce the release date and introduction of my new book. Please look forward to it. Chapter 3690. Ancestor Bays was completely devoured by Xiaolang's Hole of Nothingness. The remaining Ancestor Ghoul Fox was no longer a threat to Xiaolang. As for why he could devour ancestor lifeforms to increase his power, Xiaolang thought about it. He could roughly feel that the ancestor lifeform's non-elemental rule contained the fire part. It was this part of the rule that allowed Xiaolang's power to increase. Moreover, because the ancestor lifeform's power was equivalent to the fourth epoch's ancestor god level, even though it was only the fire part of the rule, Xiaolang's power still increased after devouring it. Good job. Long Chen watched as the wolf cub devoured the primogenitor Bays and finally relaxed. It seemed that the wolf cub had indeed grown up and had reached a level similar to his. Time entanglement. Long Chen continued to use the time entanglement rule. The eternal and endless time kept entangling the other ancestor lifeforms, greatly slowing down the speed at which they attacked the barrier. Seeing that Ancestor Bays was completely devoured by Xiaolang, the 23 ancestor lifeforms outside were all shocked. Many ancestor lifeforms began to hesitate. Should they continue attacking the barrier? If they continued to attack the barrier, when the ancestor Ghoul Fox was also devoured, it would be their turn to be dragged in by Long Chen. Primogenitor Wizard and Primogenitor Ghost Fox, two primogenitor lifeforms, were fighting against one wolf cub. Now, one of them had been devoured. It was clear that the power of the wolf cub surpassed that of a single primogenitor lifeform. Instantly, two ancestor Kunpangs looked at each other and retreated far away from the barrier. They actually did not continue attacking the barrier. This scene made the other ancestor lifeforms especially furious, especially the 7 ancestor Chilants and ancestor Phoenixes. They all began to scold the ancestor Kunpangs. Peng 1, Peng 2, what are you doing? The barrier is about to open. If you retreat now, you'll be sacrificing ancestor bays and the others for nothing. Damn it, hurry up and come back to attack. As long as this barrier is broken, I want to see where Long Chen and the Sky Swallowing clan are going to run to. This won't do. The primogenitor Ghostly Fox alone won't be able to hold on for long. We won't be able to break through this barrier. The ancestral Qilin and ancestral Phoenix, who had a deep grudge against Long Chen, insisted on attacking the barrier. However, the other ancestral lifeforms were all a bit afraid. They all retreated with Peng 1 and Peng 2. You guys retreat first. We'll discuss this at length. Peng 1 said to the many primogenitor lifeforms. On one hand, he was afraid. On the other hand, he did not want to make a pointless sacrifice. Primogenitor Bai Zhe had already been devoured, and only the primogenitor Ghostly Fox was left. It would definitely not be able to last until they broke through the barrier. Since that was the case, instead of continuing to sacrifice manpower, it would be better to take a step back and discuss it to see if there were any other good ideas. What's the use of taking our time to think about it? Right now, we need to break through the barrier in one fell swoop. Otherwise, we will be taken down one by one. Huang harumphed. Listen to me. A shrewd glint flashed through Peng 1's eyes. He glanced at the wolf cub within the barrier and said, My body possesses the primal chaos sky-devouring flame. It is the ancestral flame that was born alongside the 10th ancestral dragon. I see that the demon wolf sky-devouring clan is using fire techniques. I'm afraid he needs this ancestral flame very much. If we use this to attract him, it is very likely that he and Long Chen will become greedy. At that time, things will be much easier. Primal chaos sky-devouring flame. You actually have something like that. The ancestral Qilin and ancestral Phoenix were shocked. They stopped attacking the barrier and retreated. They checked Peng 1's body and found that there was indeed a flame. It was the companion flame of the primal chaos sky-devouring dragon. It was called the primal chaos sky-devouring flame. However, although Peng 1 possessed the primal chaos sky-devouring flame, he could not use its power. He could only swallow it. Who would have thought that it would be useful now? We have to think of a way to lure them out. If I were them, I would not come out so easily. Huang Er's eyes were filled with hatred. The primogenitor lifeforms began to discuss and plan around the primal chaos sky-devouring flame. Within the barrier, Long Chen, Xiao Lang, and the ancestor Ghostly Fox were confused about the retreat of the primogenitor lifeforms. As for the ancestor Ghostly Fox, he was infuriated. I am not dead yet. The ancestor Ghostly Fox could not help but shout. In his heart, he scolded the ancestor bays for being so useless. He had been swallowed just like that. Then, he retreated towards the barrier. Compared to the ancestral root, the ancestor Ghostly Fox treasured his life more. The reason why he wanted the ancestral root was because he wanted to live forever. Therefore, when the ancestor Ghostly Fox saw that the other primogenitor lifeforms had given up on him and retreated, he raised his claws to surrender. I surrender. I surrender. The ancestor Ghostly Fox shouted. It was a pity that Long Chen and Xiao Lang did not need his surrender. After all, the ancestor Ghostly Fox was the only one left. He was useless to Long Chen. Keeping him by his side might even be a hidden threat. Who knew when he would suddenly attack to snatch the ancestral root? Swallow him. Long Chen said. Now that the primogenitor lifeforms were no longer attacking the barrier, he was free to deal with the ancestor Ghostly Fox. However, after seeing Xiao Lang's current strength, he did not need to help deal with the ancestor Ghostly Fox. All right. Xiao Lang nodded and extended his tentacles towards the ancestor Ghostly Fox. As Long Chen had made the wrong choice previously, he had almost been surrounded by the ancestor bays and the other 5 primogenitor lifeforms. Therefore, he would not easily trust these primogenitor lifeforms, especially the crafty ancestor ghostly fox. He could not trust him. The simplest way was to swallow him completely and turn him into a part of Xiao Lang's strength. When the ancestor ghostly fox saw that Xiao Lang was about to swallow him, he panicked. "Don't be anxious. I am useful to you. I know what they are planning to do to you now." As the ancestor ghostly fox was the most scheming, the ancestor Kunpeng might have already told him about the heaven-devouring flame of primordial chaos. Now, the ancestor ghostly fox could guess that they were definitely discussing the heaven-devouring flame of primordial chaos. However, Long Chen did not care. "No matter what they do, I will not leave this barrier. What can they do to me? Moreover, if they attack the barrier again, I can pull a few more in. I want to see who dares to risk their lives to attack the barrier." "Xiao Lang, do it," Long Chen said directly. No matter what, he would not trust the ancestor ghostly fox. Xiao Lang nodded. Then, the nomological power of the ancestral fire rose from his body and rushed towards the ancestor ghostly fox. Chapter 3691. No matter how cunning the ancestor ghostly fox was, it was useless in the face of absolute power. Very soon, Xiao Lang devoured the ancestor ghostly fox completely with absolute power. He took possession of the non-elemental rules and devoured the flame part of it. This increased Xiao Lang's power once again. However, he was still a long way from metamorphosis. Within a short period of time, his power could not undergo a qualitative change. The fire elemental sky-devouring clan had already been devoured. Unless he devoured the remaining 23 ancestor lives, he might be able to grow a little more. However, devouring the remaining 23 ancestor lives was easier said than done. Moreover, Xiao Lang knew that it was best to unite as many forces as possible when facing a true enemy, the sky-devouring clan. The ancestor lives were one of them. If he could absorb these ancestor lives and turn them into power to fight against the sky-devouring clan, it would be great. However, the key was that it seemed difficult to do so given the current situation. Ancestor Bays and Ancestor Ghostly Fox are dead. Xiao Lang, you stay here and ignore what they say. If they want to attack this barrier, inform me immediately. I'll look for the origin dragon soul and see if I can find anything, Long Chen told Xiao Lang. Xiao Lang nodded. Don't worry. I'll inform you immediately if they do anything. Long Chen glanced at the remaining 23 ancestor lives and realized that they were discussing something in the distance. They were probably discussing how to deal with Long Chen. However, regardless of what they were up to, Long Chen just had to ignore them. After all, his main goal was to look for the origin dragon soul. That was the most important thing. After handing this over to Xiao Lang, Long Chen would know immediately if the ancestor lives made any move. If they wanted to attack the barrier, Long Chen could rush over immediately and use time entanglement to drag one or two of them in. As for himself, he could head to the 9 caves of the giant beehive to see if he could find which cave the origin dragon soul was in. Soon, Long Chen approached the giant beehive. He chose the first giant cave and approached it. Once again, he sensed a dangerous aura coming from the inside of the cave, and the seal barrier at the entrance of the cave seemed to be warning him not to enter and not to break the seal barrier. Long Chen frowned slightly and took out the psychedelic pendant. He said to Li Xuanji, who was in the God Kingdom, Xuanji, you and I will sense it together. Let's see which cave's aura will cause the psychedelic pendant to react. Okay, I will try my best. Li Xuanji nodded and said. Long Chen approached the first cave and brought the psychedelic pendant to the entrance of the cave. He realized that the psychedelic pendant did not react at all, but he did not panic. He repeatedly placed the psychedelic pendant in different directions at the entrance of the cave and tried it. Soon, Long Chen and Li Xuanji concluded that the first cave could not possibly contain the origin dragon soul of the illusionary dream dragon, because no matter where he placed it, the psychedelic pendant did not react. We will try all 9 caves. If there is no reaction, it means that this method will not work. However, if there is a reaction in one of the caves, then the origin dragon soul of the illusionary dream dragon will most likely be in it, Li Xuanji said. Long Chen nodded and said, yes, but there is still a risk. If I have to break the barrier, I have to be careful and do it step by step. I cannot let the sky-swallowing clan's holy leader out. In order to save time, Long Chen took out the primordial bone sword again after testing the psychedelic pendant. He tried the same method as before and realized that there was indeed no reaction to either of the two in the first cave. Then, Long Chen held the 2 world origins and went to the next cave entrance. He first felt the aura in the cave and found that it was sinister and dangerous, but he still could not determine what was inside. The psychedelic pendant and the primordial bone sword were placed near the cave entrance by Long Chen. He swayed in all directions for a long time, but in the end, he realized that the 2 world origins did not react at all when he tried the second cave. Next was the 3rd cave, and then the 4th cave. Soon, Long Chen tried to reach the location of the 6th cavern. At this point, Long Chen had some doubts about this method. He doubted whether it would really work. After all, every cave entrance was blocked by a seal. Even if there was an origin dragon soul in the depths of the cave, it might not trigger any reaction from the 2 world origins. Moreover, they had already tried 5 caverns. If this method was really effective, then the origin dragon souls of the 7th and 9th ancestral dragons would be in the last 4 caverns. If there were no origin dragon souls in the first 5 caves, then it must be in the last 4 caves. This made Long Chen feel unconfident. It was possible that he would not be able to find the origin dragon souls even after trying all 9 caves. However, since he had already tried this far, he had to try all 9 caves. After all, the origin dragon souls were in these 9 caves. Long Chen was sure that they were there. Now, he just had to find a way to find them. Using the world origin to try was the first method he came up with. Even if this method did not work, he could think of another method. However, he had to try all the methods first. However, at that moment, Xiao Lang received news from near the barrier that the primogenitor life forms were about to make a move. This made Long Chen temporarily put aside his search for the origin dragon souls and rush back to the barrier as fast as he could. After all, if the primogenitor life forms broke through the barrier, he would not have any chance of finding the origin dragon souls. When Long Chen arrived, the primogenitor life forms were looking at Xiao Lang from afar. They did not dare approach the barrier. Instead, they sneered at Long Chen and Xiao Lang. Long Chen, this friend of yours from the sky-devouring tribe seems to like devouring flames. All flame powers can make his power grow. Now, I have a flame here called the chaotic sky-devouring flame. It is the companion flame of the chaotic sky-devouring dragon. Primogenitor Kunpeng stared at Long Chen and Xiao Lang and said, "If you have the guts, come out and take it." Chaotic sky-devouring flame. A flame appeared in front of the primogenitor Kunpeng and emitted a chaotic aura of the sky-devouring nomological laws. It was the companion flame of the chaotic sky-devouring dragon. This made Long Chen and Xiao Lang excited. It really was the chaotic sky-devouring flame. Chapter 3692. Now, Xiao Lang had already obtained the ancestral flames of the other 8 primordial divine dragons. He really hadn't been able to find this primordial heaven-devouring flame. He didn't expect to see it here. It was indeed very attractive to him. Peng 1 and the other primordial lifeforms had calculated very accurately. Currently, the thing that was most attractive to Xiao Lang was something like the primordial heaven-devouring flame. However, Peng 1 and the others had more than 20 primogenitor lifeforms together. If the wolf cub and Longchen recklessly rushed out and wanted to snatch the primal chaos heaven-devouring flame, no matter how one thought about it, one could imagine the consequences. Once they went out, they would lose their lives. The other party just wanted to use the primordial heaven-devouring flame to attract Longchen and Xiao Lang so that Longchen and Xiao Lang could leave this barrier. However, the possibility of this was too small. No matter how precious the primordial heaven-devouring flame was, could it compare to one's life? Xiao Lang glanced at the primordial heaven-devouring flame, then said to Longchen, "We can't go out now. Not to mention one primordial heaven-devouring flame, even if there are more ancestral flames, we absolutely can't be tempted by the other party." "That's right." Longchen nodded. However, since the other party took out such an item, it would be too disappointing if this was all they had. Whether it was Peng 1 or the other primordial lifeforms, they had long expected that Longchen and Xiao Lang wouldn't leave the barrier because of the primordial heaven-devouring flame. However, they still had a trump card. "Longchen, since you don't dare to come out, then let's make a deal." Peng 1 took a step forward and sneered, "I'll use this primordial heaven-devouring flame to exchange for the 2 ancestral roots you just obtained, which are the 2 ancestral roots you obtained from Qi 1 and Huang 1. How about it? This deal is very fair. Anyway, you can't seem to fuse those 2 ancestral roots for the time being, so they can't increase your strength. On the other hand, the primordial heaven-devouring flame can increase the strength of your friend from the sky-devouring race. How about it?" Peng 1's words caused the other primordial lifeforms to agree. Exactly. In any case, these 2 ancestral roots are temporarily useless to you, so it's very suitable to use them to exchange for something useful to your friend, right? If it were me, I would definitely make the exchange. This deal couldn't be more worthwhile. Longchen, if you don't want to exchange, aren't you looking down on your friend? Hoo, this heaven-devouring demon wolf selling its life for you, what a pity. The group of people spoke at once, mocking and ridiculing Longchen. It was obvious that they wanted to sow discord between Longchen and Xiao Lang. They didn't dare to continue attacking the barrier, so they came up with a solution, which was to start with the internal relationship between Longchen and Little Wolf and strive to break up the alliance between the two. Unfortunately, these primogenitors had underestimated the relationship between Longchen and Xiao Lang. Based on the brotherly relationship between Longchen and Xiao Lang, how could it be destroyed by the other party's low-level strategy of sowing discord? The friendship between the two had gone through countless trials of life and death. It was impossible to sow discord between them. The idea that the primogenitors came up with wasn't too bad, but they were wrong because they didn't know the specific relationship between Longchen and Xiao Lang. They thought that Xiao Lang was just an ordinary sky-devouring demon wolf. This was where they failed the most. Don't listen to their nonsense. It looks like they don't dare to approach the barrier. If that's the case, Big Brother, go look for the origin dragon soul first. I'll keep an eye on things here, Xiao Lang said to Longchen. Longchen nodded. It wasn't a good idea to waste time here. Since the other party didn't dare to approach and only wanted to play some tricks, there was no need to pay attention to them. Longchen turned and left, continuing to fly towards the giant beehive. As for Xiao Lang, he monitored the primogenitors' movements through the barrier. Once they approached the barrier to attack, he would immediately inform Longchen. Seeing Longchen leave, the primogenitors were dumbfounded. According to the planned script, shouldn't Longchen and the sky-devouring demon wolf have a conflict and give them a chance to take advantage of it? How could they not fight at all? However, Peng Yi wasn't discouraged. Instead, he said to the remaining wolf cub, I can see that you desire my primal chaos heaven-devouring flame very much. Since that's the case, I promise you that as long as you're willing to join our camp, this primal chaos heaven-devouring flame will directly belong to you. To be honest, the chaotic sky-devouring flame was indeed very attractive to Xiao Lang. However, if he had to betray Long Chen in exchange for it, he didn't even need to consider it. He definitely wouldn't accept it. Therefore, Xiao Lang couldn't be bothered to say anything more. He just watched coldly from the sidelines, causing Peng Yi and the other primogenitors to feel a little awkward. They really didn't expect that their plan to sow discord would have no effect at all. Instead, it made the primogenitors look like idiots. Xiao Lang ignored them, so they didn't dare to act rashly. As for approaching the barrier and attacking it, they didn't dare. If Long Chen suddenly appeared and pulled two of them into the barrier, the situation would once again tilt towards Long Chen's side. At the very least, both sides were still in a stalemate. If more of them died, then Long Chen wouldn't be afraid of them anymore. That would be true despair. Therefore, the primogenitor's current strategy was obviously to seek stability. They couldn't continue to advance recklessly. On the other side, near the 9 huge caves of the ancestor mystical dragon's lair, Long Chen started to search from the 9th cave. First, he took out the psychedelic pendant and placed it near the entrance of the cave. This time, he finally felt something different. At the entrance of this huge cave, the psychedelic pendant actually vibrated slightly. It was as if something deep in the cave had resonated with it. Could it be the origin dragon soul of the Umbra Dream Charm Dragon? Long Chen thought to himself. He couldn't help but feel a little surprised. After searching for so long, he finally found a clue. This made his originally gloomy mood instantly improve. "Xuanji, I'm going to give it a try," said Long Chen. Be careful. If you don't have to destroy the seal barrier, don't destroy it until you're completely sure that the origin dragon soul of the Umbra Dream Charm Dragon is in the cave," Li Xuanji said solemnly. Of course, Long Chen understood this principle. He slowly approached the entrance of the 9th cave, holding the psychedelic pendant in his hand at all times. He could feel the slight trembling of the pendant at all times. The closer he got to the cave, the more intense the trembling seemed to be. Although the reaction was not very strong due to the barrier of the seal, it was enough for Long Chen to feel. Long Chen reached out an arm and probed the seal barrier. He discovered that because he was the descendant of the ancestor dragon, he could directly enter this seal barrier. However, if he wanted to completely break through this barrier, he had to destroy the seal. He didn't advance recklessly. Instead, he stopped in the seal barrier and looked into the cave through the barrier. Chapter 3693. Through the barrier, Long Chen could vaguely see what was going on in the cave. However, he had also destroyed a small portion of the seal. Fortunately, when he looked into the cave, Long Chen could see a vague shadow of a divine dragon. The shadow of the divine dragon was constantly changing. The purple shadow was faintly discernible. It's the shadow of the Shadow Dream Dragon. Long Chen was even more excited. However, he did not act rashly. Instead, he carefully observed the other scenes in the cave. He hid in the middle of the seal barrier and destroyed it slightly. Because of this, he became even more careful. He had to make sure that there were no other dangers in the cave before he could completely open the seal barrier and step into the cave. After a while, he observed the interior of the cave. Apart from the ever-changing purple dragon shadow, he didn't find anything else. This meant that the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy lord wasn't sealed in the cave. If he broke the seal, there wouldn't be any danger. If that's the case, I don't have to worry about anything. After making up his mind, Long Chen tried to barge into the cave. However, he realized that he was still blocked by the seal barrier. If he wanted to completely destroy the seal barrier, he needed something else. "I'm afraid I need the inheritance blood." This seal barrier mostly seals the sky-devouring clan holy lords. The seal set by the ancestral dragon will not be so simple. Apart from the inheritance blood, I can't think of anything else that can break the seal, Li Xuanji guessed. Long Chen agreed with this. Then I'll give it a try. Very quickly, he dripped a drop of inheritance blood on the seal barrier. When the ancestral dragon's inheritance blood fused with the seal barrier, the entire seal barrier began to turn illusory. In just an instant, the almost unbreakable seal barrier was completely melted by the drop of inheritance blood. It disappeared from the primogenitor's world without a trace. Long Chen had broken the seal of the entire ninth cave. If there was a sky-devouring race holy lord inside, he would be free now. However, since Long Chen had opened the seal here, it meant that the sky-devouring clan's holy lord could not possibly be in this cave. There was only the origin dragon soul of the Shadow Dream Demon Dragon. After opening the seal, Long Chen stepped into the cave. As expected, he did not feel any aura of the sky-swallowing clan's holy leader. Instead, he only saw a faintly discernible shadow of a purple divine dragon. This mystical dragon phantom was constantly changing in the depths of the cave. It was because of the illusionary and transformation Tao that the Umbra Dream Charm Dragon had mastered. The power of the illusionary and transformation rules made this purple mystical dragon phantom, which was the origin dragon soul of the Umbra Dream Charm Dragon, flicker in and out of existence. It was as though it didn't exist. It was confusing. Long Chen held the psychedelic pendant in his hand as he stepped into the cave. He suppressed his excitement and put away the origin dragon soul. Since the origin dragon soul of the Shadow Dream Charm Dragon was already in his hands, would the origin dragon soul of the Universe Chaos Calamity Dragon be far away? Long Chen could easily find the origin dragon soul of the seventh ancestral dragon as long as he followed the procedure. At that time, Long Chen could be said to have inherited the legacy of the seven ancestral dragons. His overall strength would rise to a whole new level. However, what Long Chen didn't know was that the sky-devouring clan's holy lord, who was sealed in another huge cave, had already sensed something when he broke through the seal barrier of this cave to understand the origin dragon soul of the Shadow Dream Demon Dragon. Of course, Long Chen didn't know that. He didn't have time to integrate the origin dragon soul of the Shadow Dream Demon Dragon for the time being. After all, this place was still threatened by the lives of the first ancestors. He wanted to get the origin dragon soul of the Universe Chaos Calamity Dragon before returning to the Tower of Time to integrate it. It would be much safer that way. Otherwise, if those primogenitor life forms started attacking the barrier while he was fusing, he wouldn't be able to rush over. Once the barrier was blasted open and the 23 primogenitor life forms entered, it would definitely be a disaster for Long Chen and Little Wolf. Long Chen could take Xiao Lang away from the tunnel. However, on one hand, Long Chen had not got the origin dragon soul of the Universe Chaos Calamity Dragon yet. If he left now, it would not be easy for him to get it next time. On the other hand, what if those first ancestors went mad and released the holy lords of sky-devouring clan? No matter what, Long Chen didn't want to take the risk. He had to get the origin dragon soul of the seventh ancestral dragon first. After exiting this cave, there were only 8 huge caves left in the lair of the ancestor mystical dragon. All the other caves had been cleaned up by Long Chen regardless of size. The sealed sky-swallowing clan members were either killed by Long Chen a long time ago or devoured by Coyote not long ago. Therefore, of all the sky-swallowing clan members sealed in the lair of Zulong, there were only a few sky-swallowing clan holy lords left. As for why the ancestor mystical dragon sealed all the weak lackeys of the sky-devouring clan here, Long Chen had also thought about it. He guessed that the ancestor mystical dragon could only seal all of them together instead of killing them one by one due to the lack of time. Therefore, one could imagine the intensity of the struggle before the epoch. It was definitely out of everyone's imagination. I can put away the psychedelic pendant first. Next, I need the primordial bone sword. Hopefully, I can find the origin dragon soul of the 7th ancestral dragon as soon as possible and fuse with it. Long Chen followed the order and headed to the 8th huge cave on the left. This cave was the same as the 9th cave. It had a diameter of a few thousand meters and was extremely spectacular. One must know that in the ancestor world, even if Long Chen transformed into the ancestor mystical dragon, his body would not be this huge. It was obvious that if the Holy Lord of the Sky-Devouring Clan was sealed inside, the Holy Lord of the Sky-Devouring Clan would definitely be an unprecedented giant. The 8th cave. I hope the origin dragon soul of the 7th ancestral dragon is inside. Long Chen placed the primordial bone sword near the entrance of the cave. Actually, he wasn't really looking forward to the primordial bone sword's reaction. This was because the origin dragon soul of the Umbra Dream Demon Dragon was in the 9th cave of the ancestral dragon, which corresponded to its identity as the 9th ancestral dragon. In that case, the origin dragon soul of the universe primordial calamity dragon was more likely to be placed in the 7th cave of the ancestral dragon. Therefore, Long Chen didn't have high hopes. However, what surprised him was that when the primordial bone sword neared the 8th cave of the ancestral dragon, it actually vibrated a little. Although the vibration was very weak, Long Chen could still feel it clearly. It's actually in the 8th cave of the ancestral dragon. Long Chen was a little surprised by this result. After a long time of preparation, the new book was finally finalized and ready to be released. Everything was in place. On the day of the release of the new book, it was updated with 30,000 words. It was a super explosion, and there were about 10 chapters. That day was November 30th. 3 years of accumulation, and an explosion. A whole new world. Stay tuned. A world different from the dragon-blooded war god realm, a vast, faintly discernible, Xianxia world. A brief introduction. The Yanhuang ancient region was vast and boundless. Over the years, many primordial immortals and demons were born. They tore apart the heavens and earth, transcending the 3 realms and 5 affinities. There were also spirits of the universe, born with godly bodies. They could travel through the void, reverse yin and yang, and were omnipotent. Today was the golden age of the immortal Tao. All techniques reached the heavens, all beings cultivated Tao, and demons ran amok. The Dong Yuwu crown prince, Wu Yu, had inherited the legacy of the peerless war god immortal of the East in a desperate situation. Since then, he had appeared out of nowhere and risen against the heavens. In the hearts of billions of people, he was the immortal emperor who saved them all. In the eyes of all the immortals and Buddhas, he was the demon who devoured the heavens and earth. On November 30th, let us, dragons, rejoice together. In these few days, please pay attention to the official WeChat account and the chapters of the Dragon-Blooded War God Realm. The Red Packet event, Book Review event, Alliance Leader event, and others would be released soon. After holding back for so long, next, they would read books together, review books together, and snatch red packets together. Chapter 3694. Long Chen felt the primordial bone sword tremble slightly, but he did not rush into the 8th cave of the ancestral dragon. Most of the 9 caves contained the Sky-Devouring Clan Holy Masters. If any one of them was released, it would be a disaster for Long Chen and the infinite worlds. Therefore, he had to be as cautious as possible before he opened the cave seal. This was the safest way. Long Chen approached the seal barrier at the entrance of the cavern. Just like in the 9th cavern, he first slowly entered the seal barrier, ready to check out the situation inside the cavern. If he wanted to completely open the seal barrier, Long Chen needed to drip the ancestral dragon's inheritance blood essence. Before that, he could vaguely see what was in the depths of the cave. Before he dripped the ancestral dragon's inheritance blood essence, Long Chen looked into the depths of the cave. What he saw shocked him. In the depths of the cave, there was no origin dragon soul of the universe Chaos Calamity Dragon. Instead, there was the body of a huge monster. This monster had no limbs, only a huge, round body. It was gray all over and had huge eyes. However, its biggest feature was its mouth. The huge mouth took up almost a third of its body. Such a huge monster in the depths of the cave made Long Chen's hair stand on end. It's a dragon-devouring beast. When Long Chen saw this huge beast, he remembered the sky-devouring clan he had met before. This dragon-devouring beast was very good at devouring divine dragons. It was the ancestor divine dragon's greatest enemy. The dragon-devouring beast in front of Long Chen was obviously much bigger than the ones he had met before. It was obviously the king of the dragon-devouring beasts. It was very likely that it was one of the sky-devouring clan's holy masters. Fortunately, I didn't directly drip the inheritance blood essence to destroy the seal. However, why is there a power in this cave that makes the primordial bone sword tremble? Long Chen frowned slightly. The huge dragon-devouring beast in the cave was clearly awake. Seeing that Long Chen was hesitating, the dragon-devouring beast seemed to be a little disappointed. You didn't fall for it. What a pity, what a pity. TSK, TSK, tisk. The dragon-swallowing beast's eerie and terrifying voice reached Long Chen's ears. The power that caused the great desolate bone sword to tremble is your doing, right? Long Chen immediately guessed the reason and asked in a deep voice. This huge dragon-devouring beast was definitely very strong. It was not difficult for it to produce an energy fluctuation that attracted the primal desolate bone sword. In order to escape, the gigantic dragon-devouring beast had caused the primordial bone sword to tremble, trying to attract Long Chen to destroy the seal here. Unfortunately, Long Chen was too cautious, causing the dragon-devouring beast's evil intentions to fail. You're the holy leader of the sky-swallowing clan. Long Chen glared at the huge dragon-swallowing beast, his eyes almost spitting fire. That's right, everyone calls me Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon. TSK, TSK, TSK. The inheritor of the dragon god is so weak. Looks like it's finally time for us to digest all the worlds. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's huge body trembled, and his tone was extremely excited. It seemed like he was more confident about devouring all the worlds after seeing Long Chen. Long Chen had not found the inheritance of the ancestor dragon yet, so he was indeed not very strong. Especially when compared to Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, he was much weaker. However, Long Chen wasn't discouraged. He couldn't rush things. He had to take things one step at a time and improve himself steadily. Once he inherited the ancestral divine dragon's inheritance, he would definitely be able to reach the level where he could destroy Devouring Dragon Holy Lord. Stop dreaming. If you want to devour all the worlds, you have to break this seal first. If you had the ability to do so, why would you be trapped here? Long Chen harumphed coldly. He did not want to talk too much with the hatred in his heart. After all, anything he said now would be pointless. The other party would definitely not reveal any useful information to him. To Long Chen, the most important thing was to buy time and obtain the origin dragon's soul of the seventh ancestral dragon as soon as possible. Then, he would return and fuse with it to strengthen himself. TSK, TSK, TSK. Do you really think that this seal can trap us forever? That day won't be too far away. All the worlds will become food in our stomachs. TSK, TSK. The eerie and terrifying laughter entered Long Chen's ears, and it was extremely ear-piercing. Long Chen did not stay here for long. He immediately retreated. When he left the seal, the eerie aura around him was no longer as dense. He heaved a sigh of relief. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's aura alone was enough to make Long Chen feel pressured through the seal. One could imagine that Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's strength was extraordinary. At least at this stage, he was definitely an existence that could crush Long Chen. One day, I will destroy all of you. Not a single one will be left. The hatred in Long Chen's eyes gradually subsided. The hatred he had for the sky-devouring clan was deeply ingrained in his heart. There was no need to say anything else. What he needed to do was to increase his strength and destroy all the sky-devouring clan in one fell swoop. Xiao Lang was still near the seal, observing the movements of the primogenitors. After Long Chen retreated from the 8th cave, he headed straight for the 7th cave. Finally, at the entrance of the 7th cave, the primordial bone sword seemed to feel some power and vibrated slightly. Long Chen had learned his lesson and was even more cautious this time. After entering the seal, he looked into the cave. He finally realized that there was no sky-devouring clan beast in the cave. There was only a raging divine dragon's shadow. This divine dragon's shadow constantly exploded with primordial and calamity aura. It was obviously the origin dragon soul of the universe Chaos Calamity Dragon. Found it. Long Chen did not let his guard down. He was afraid that what he saw was an illusion. What if the sky-devouring clan's sacred lord, who was proficient in illusions, let him see an illusion and deceived him into breaking the seal? This was a possibility. Therefore, Long Chen had to be more vigilant. However, after observing for a long time and using the psychedelic pendant to investigate, he realized that there were no changes or illusionary rules. After a long time, he finally relaxed. Since this concerned the sky-devouring clan's sacred lord, Long Chen had to be careful. However, after confirming that it was the origin dragon soul of the 7th ancestral dragon, he did not delay any further. He dripped his inheritance blood on the seal, causing the entire seal to be melted by the inheritance blood. The seal of the 7th ancestral dragon cave was broken. Long Chen stepped inside and quickly put the origin dragon soul of the universe Chaos Calamity Dragon into his bag. Now, his goal for this trip was complete. Next, it was time to return and merge the origin dragon souls of the 2 ancestral dragons. Of course, before that, he had to teach the remaining primogenitors a lesson. Chapter 3695. After obtaining the origin dragon souls of the 7th and 9th ancestral dragons, Long Chen wanted to leave the primogenitors' world immediately and return to the 4th floor of the Tower of Time to fuse with the origin dragon souls. But before that, he had to deal with the primogenitor lifeforms. At least, he had to warn them not to destroy the huge cave's barrier. Otherwise, the appearance of the sky-swallowing clan's holy leader would cause chaos in the myriad realms. Long Chen left the 7th ancestral dragon cave and came to Xiao Lang's side, confronting the primogenitor lifeforms outside the barrier. How about it, Long Chen, have you made up your mind? If you decide to exchange with us now, we are willing to hand over the chaotic sky-swallowing flame, Peng Wan said to Long Chen calmly. You think too much. I'm here to bid farewell to you. Long Chen laughed. I've already obtained what I wanted here. I won't be returning here in the future. But before I leave, I have to remind you that the sky-swallowing clan's holy leader is sealed in this cave of the primogenitor dragon cave. If you dare to open the seal recklessly, you won't be able to survive. Long Chen's words caused the expressions of Peng Wan and the other primogenitor lifeforms to change. Long Chen was leaving, and wouldn't be returning here in the future? Didn't that mean they wouldn't be able to get the ancestral source from Long Chen? This wasn't good news for the primogenitor lifeforms. The ancestral source meant a lot to the primogenitor's world. They were about to get it, but now everything was ruined. Long Chen had escaped. Xiao Lang, let's go. As for the chaotic sky-swallowing flame, we'll definitely get it, but not now. Long Chen said to Xiao Lang. Even if he went back to fuse with the 7th and 9th ancestral dragon origin dragon souls before returning to the primogenitor's world, Long Chen could definitely fight against 3 primogenitor lifeforms alone. And that was a conservative estimate. Let's go back and fuse first. If we want the chaotic sky-swallowing flame, we can think of another way. Big brother, of course I'll listen to you. Let's go back and fuse with the origin dragon soul. Xiao Lang had always considered the bigger picture. Although he really wanted to obtain the chaotic sky-devouring flame, he knew that now wasn't the best time. Long Chen put Xiao Lang back into his divine kingdom, and then flew towards the giant hive, quickly disappearing from the sight of the progenitors. This made the primogenitors anxious. They all rushed towards the barrier and attacked. Destroy the barrier. At the very least, we need to know where they left the primogenitor world from. Peng Wan shouted and took the initiative to attack the barrier. At this time, Long Chen and Xiao Lang had already left, so they wouldn't be in any danger if they approached the barrier. Very quickly, the 23 primogenitor lifeforms joined hands, creating a gap in the entire barrier. After all, the barrier was already about to be destroyed. Now that Long Chen wasn't there to hold it back, the 23 primogenitor lifeforms attacked together and destroyed it very quickly. Not long after Long Chen and Xiao Lang left, a gap was created. With Peng Wan at the lead, all 23 primogenitor lifeforms rushed in, but found that Long Chen and Xiao Lang had already disappeared. The two of them had already left. In the vicinity of the giant primogenitor dragon lair, apart from the 23 primogenitor lifeforms, there was no other existence. Perhaps only the sky-swallowing clan holy masters sealed in the giant cave were left. However, the primogenitor lifeforms obviously knew how terrifying the sky-swallowing clan was. Even though they had lost track of Long Chen, they had never thought of destroying the sky-swallowing clan holy master's seal. That was purely an act of seeking death. They could only search the vicinity of the giant beehive to find out how Long Chen left the primogenitor world. If they could find that exit, then the primogenitor lifeforms could also leave this place and head into the infinite worlds. However, after the 23 primogenitor lifeforms searched for a while, they found that many caves in the giant beehive had sealing barriers, and most of these caves were exactly the same. There was no difference at all. Where exactly did Long Chen leave the primogenitor world from? The 23 primogenitor lifeforms would probably be hard to find no matter how hard they searched. After all, every time they destroyed a barrier, it would take them a long time to attack it together, and there were countless sealing barriers in the entire lair of Zulong. Most importantly, who knew which cave sealed the sky-swallowing clan? The primogenitor lifeforms did not dare to act recklessly in the face of the giant beehive's sealing barrier. They were afraid that if the sky-swallowing clan was released, they would be the first to die. The sky-swallowing clan would not treat them as their benefactors. Just like that, the 23 primogenitor lifeforms lost track of Long Chen once again. However, this time, they did not plan to leave the lair of Zulong. Anyway, to these primogenitor lifeforms, it did not matter where they were. Therefore, they stayed in the lair of Zulong and gathered together to prevent Long Chen from finding a chance to destroy them one by one. Moreover, Peng Wan firmly believed that Long Chen would definitely not let go of the chaotic sky-swallowing flame. The next time Long Chen wanted to snatch the chaotic sky-swallowing flame, it would be the time of Long Chen's death. That brat probably thinks that we will split up like last time, but he doesn't know that we are all gathered together this time. Once he appears, we can immediately kill him. Peng Wan gathered all 23 primogenitor lifeforms and waited in the lair of the ancestor divine dragon. These primogenitor lifeforms each chose a cave that was no longer sealed and rested in it. Once there was news of Long Chen, all the primogenitor lifeforms would arrive in an instant and attack him. At this moment, Long Chen had already returned to the infinite realms with Xiao Lang and Li Xuanji. He once again passed through the passage behind the lair of the ancestor divine dragon and passed through several layers of barriers before returning to the world where the infinite realms were. After returning, Long Chen first visited everyone in the infinite realms, including the 4 ancestral divine armaments from the primogenitor world. He found that the entire infinite realms were peaceful and prosperous. There was no danger at all. The god-fiend Holy Lord was still in the state of life particles and recovering his strength. He did not take any action for the time being. Long Chen did not waste any time and directly stepped into the fourth floor of the Tower of Time. He took Li Xuanji and prepared to fuse with the origin dragon soul of the looming shadow dream dragon. Once the fusion succeeded, Li Xuanji would transform into a looming shadow dream dragon and Long Chen would obtain the inheritance of the ninth ancestral dragon. He would master the laws of transformation and hallucinatory, and he would be able to use the hallucinatory pendant. What made Long Chen more expectant was that the hallucinatory pendant and the primordial bone sword both contained the origins of 6 worlds. After fusing with them, perhaps Long Chen could step into the 4th era's ancestral god realm. In that case, his strength would truly undergo a transformation. Today was November 26th. On the 30th of this month, in a few days, my new book would be released. To be exact, it would be released in the early morning of the 30th. Here, Madman will announce 2 activities. First, a big red packet. On the 30th, Madman took out 1,000 yuan and used Alipay to send a red packet. As usual, he would send the password to the review section of the new book. The specific link would be sent to everyone. The time would be 12 noon sharp. After posting it in the review section, it would immediately be pinned at the top for everyone to see. I hope that everyone could read the new book on that day and send flowers and red packets to Madman. Because Madman was going to be the first in the new book ranking, he needed everyone to click on it. The new book ranking counted clicks and had to be clicked after the readers had logged in. Therefore, I hope that everyone could click on it. There would always be such activities. Second, post a review and grab a cameo role. Third, post a review on Madman's new book page. The review should be longer and better compliment me. Any book selected by Madman and added as an elite review will be considered a winner. The book reviewer can post their own role in their own book review. I will arrange for them to be included in the new book. The name should be similar to Xianxia as much as possible. Move your fingers and let countless readers know you. Other activities would be announced one after another on the 30th. In addition, Madman had created 10 new QQ groups and hired specialized staff to manage them. They would not be announced today because the staff had not started work yet. The new groups would be announced tomorrow or the day after. Please look forward to it. Chapter 3696. Long Chen couldn't wait to inherit the complete inheritance of the 7th and 9th ancestral dragons. Hence, he brought Li Xuanji along to prepare to fuse with the psychedelic pendant. Both the primordial bone sword and the psychedelic pendant contained 6 world origins. According to Long Chen's calculations, he should be able to step into the 4th era's ancestral god realm if he could fuse both of them. As for his actual combat strength, he would definitely surpass all the ancestral gods of the 4th era. However, this still depended on whether the fusion went smoothly. Since Li Xuanji was present, Long Chen chose to fuse with the psychedelic pendant first. This was the 9th ancestral dragon's world origin, the Umbra Dream Dragon's world origin. It contained the boundless laws of dream and change, as well as the 6 world origins. This wasn't the first time that Long Chen had fused with the origin dragon soul and the world origin to inherit the complete ancestral dragon's inheritance. Hence, he was familiar with the process this time. The psychedelic pendant and the origin dragon soul fused with the laws of dream and change. Little by little, they were absorbed by Long Chen. The 6 world origins also started to fuse with Long Chen. However, at this time, something unexpected happened. Originally, Long Chen thought that if he could absorb and fuse all 6 world origins, he would be able to step into the 4th era's ancestral god realm. However, when he truly came into contact with the 6 world origins, he realized that it wasn't as simple as he had imagined. Everyone's world origins had different attributes. For example, the ancestral dragon's world origins were green and had the attribute of life. The ancestral god's world origins were white and had all attributes. The primogenitor's world origins were dark and had no attribute. The psychedelic pendant and the primordial bone sword had been fused with Huangyi and Qi for many years. The 6 world origins didn't all belong to the ancestral dragon's world origins. Huangyi and Qi also had their own attributes. For example, in the psychedelic pendant that Long Chen was currently fusing with, the majority of the 6 world origins attributes had been converted to a single, psychedelic, attribute, but there was still a small portion that had no attribute. These world origins attributes were useless to Long Chen. Although there were not many world origins without attributes, it would be very difficult for Long Chen to step into the 4th era's origin ancestor god realm without this part of the world origins. Long Chen did not think too much about it. He prepared to fuse with the psychedelic pendant and inherit the 9th ancestral dragon's complete inheritance. But at that moment, the origin of the 6 worlds in the pendant suddenly dispersed. Long Chen felt a little shaken, and he was slightly injured. It wasn't a big problem, but Long Chen's plan to step into the 4th era's ancestral god realm was ruined. It seemed that he had to cultivate slowly on his own to be able to cultivate the origin of the 6th world and step into the 4th era's ancestral god realm. Very quickly, Long Chen inherited the psychedelic pendant's psychedelic, nomological power. He also fused with Li Xuanji, causing Li Xuanji's divine soul to finally transform into an ancestral soul. Li Xuanji's ancestral soul fused with Long Chen's 1/10 of his ancestral soul. Both of them could control the psychedelic pendant together, allowing Li Xuanji to step into the 5th era's origin ancestor god realm. Of course, although Li Xuanji was at the 5th era's ancestor god realm, her combat power could barely be compared to the 4th era's origin ancestor gods. After all, the origin of the ancestral dragon's world was a single element, and its power was slightly greater. This was also why Long Chen was stronger than the ancestor gods of the same realm. Now, Li Xuanji was in the same situation. Although she only inherited the Shadow Dream Charm Dragon's inheritance, Li Xuanji's strength was still much greater than the other 5th era's origin ancestor gods. Long Chen was slightly disappointed that he could not step into the 4th era's origin ancestor god realm. After all, if he had succeeded, his combat power would have been greatly improved. When the Sacred Master Divine Demon recovered to his peak, he would also be able to fight him. Now, Long Chen's strength had not transformed. Although his strength had increased, it was still not enough to fight against the Sacred Master Divine Demon. The psychedelic pendant hung around his neck, and it reflected the life necklace and emitted a dazzling brilliance. From now on, Long Chen could use the psychedelic pendant to activate the dream and transformation rules, creating illusions in battle, and so on. Therefore, he could also explore some new nomological powers, or use the psychedelic rules to fuse with other nomological powers to produce stronger nomological powers. All of this was what Long Chen needed to put into practice. His biggest advantage now was that he had the complete inheritance of the 6 great ancestor dragons. If he fused the primordial bone sword's origin of the world and inherited the universe primordial calamity dragon's inheritance, he would have the complete inheritance of the 7 great ancestor dragons. How many techniques could the complete inheritance of the 7 great ancestor dragons combine? Long Chen could not imagine it himself. Just the fusion of 3 types of ancestral dragon's inheritance laws could produce a powerful technique like the tricolor dragon source. What if he could fuse 4 types of ancestral dragon's inheritance laws? 5 types? Or even more? Of course, it was very difficult to fuse multiple types of laws. At the very least, he had to solve the problem of repelling laws. This would require Long Chen to spend a lot of effort on it. It was impossible to develop new combat techniques in a short period of time. However, Long Chen was not in a hurry. Anyway, the God-fiend Holy Lord's strength seemed to be recovering very slowly. The myriad worlds were peaceful, and there were no major battles for the time being. Long Chen could properly study and comprehend it. Next, he naturally had to fuse the primordial bone sword's origin of the world. After Li Xuanji succeeded and inherited the Shadow Dream Dragon's inheritance, she took the psychedelic pendant and went to find people to spar with. Xiao Lang, Lingxi, and so on. Although she might not be able to defeat them for the time being, once she familiarized herself with the Shadow Dream Dragon's power, she could still resist them for a period of time. As for Long Chen, he began to fuse the primordial bone sword alone. The 6 worlds' origins were the same as the psychedelic pendant. Most of them already had a single primordial attribute, but they still contained a portion of Qi-Yi's non-attribute energy. Long Chen was unable to fuse this portion of non-attribute energy. Therefore, in the end, he had only fused 5 worlds' origins. However, the laws contained in the primordial bone sword are primordial chaos and calamity. Its destructive power is much stronger than the dream and transformation laws. Moreover, I can also use Qi-Yi's combat style to create some new techniques. Long Chen recalled the battle with Qi-Yi. Qi-Yi's ultimate calamity was an extremely powerful law technique. If it wasn't for the tricolor dragon source, Long Chen might not have been able to withstand it. Chapter 3697. Of course, Long Chen couldn't completely copy Qi-Yi's method. After all, it was a rule that Qi-Yi had comprehended by himself. It might not be suitable for Long Chen. However, Long Chen was able to comprehend something from it. Perhaps he could use it to create a new method. No matter what, he had to fuse with the primordial bone sword first. Similar to the psychedelic pendant, when he fused with the primordial bone sword, the origins of the 6 worlds were absorbed by Long Chen. Among them, the primordial attribute rule was completely integrated into Long Chen's body and was mastered by him. However, a part of the non-attribute power dissipated, slightly injuring Long Chen. In the end, he only obtained the origins of the 5 worlds. It didn't take too long for Long Chen to inherit the complete inheritances of the 7 ancestor dragons. Besides the previous 5 inheritances, Long Chen got the inheritances of the 7th ancestor dragon, Universe Chaos Calamity Dragon, and the 9th ancestor dragon, Shadow Dream Demon Dragon. They allowed Long Chen to master the Tao of Chaos and Calamity and the Tao of Illusion and Transformation respectively, further improving his strength. Among the 9 ancestor dragons, Long Chen only needed to inherit the inheritances of the 1st and 2nd ancestor dragons. Until now, he hadn't found any information about the 1st ancestor dragon. It was as if the 1st ancestor dragon had completely disappeared. The 7 inheritances of the 7 ancestor dragons and the 7 rules all contain the origins of the 5 worlds. Although I haven't reached the realm of the 4th era's origin ancestor god, my overall strength has increased a lot. Long Chen was satisfied with this overall fusion. As for breaking through to the realm of the 4th era's origin ancestor god, he had to find another opportunity. Next, Long Chen started to comprehend the laws of illusion and transformation and the laws of chaos and calamity. In the Tower of Time, he finally created some new means after numerous attempts. Now, the myriad worlds were peaceful. Besides the celestial demon lord who had turned into life particles, there were no other enemies. Therefore, Long Chen couldn't find an opponent to fight. Now, Long Chen naturally wanted to test his strength. He wanted to return to the primogenitor's world and snatch the primordial chaos sky-devouring flame from the primogenitor lifeforms. Unfortunately, he gave up on this idea after some thought. Long Chen had gone to the primogenitor world twice and escaped from the primogenitor life forms twice. If he went again, the primogenitor life forms might have already set up an ambush, waiting for him to jump in. Although Long Chen had now grasped the 7 great ancestral dragon laws and inherited the 7 great ancestral dragon legacies, it was still almost impossible for him to deal with 23 primogenitor lifeforms at the same time. It took Long Chen 1 month in total to inherit the inheritances of the 7th and 9th ancestral dragons and comprehend some wholly new skills. When he exited the 4th floor of the Tower of Time, 1 month had passed in the outside world. During this period of time, Li Xuanji had come out earlier than him. She had already familiarized herself with the new power that she had grasped. She could even persist for a period of time in the hands of Xiao Lang or Lingxi. When Long Chen exited the Tower of Time, he called everyone together. Lingxi, Xiao Lang, Kitten, Lingxi, Soi Yan, and many 4th epoch primogenitor gods gathered together. Long Chen said with a smile, "I want to test my strength now. Who's willing to spar with me?" "Boss, in the past, when you inherited 5 ancestral dragon legacies, we were no match for you. Now that you have inherited 2 more, you want us to spar with you? Isn't that just asking for death?" Little Cat said with a puzzled look. "I didn't ask you to spar with me. How about you join hands to deal with me?" Long Chen glanced at everyone present and mainly focused on the 4th epoch primogenitor gods. Soon, the 3 4th epoch primogenitor gods exchanged glances with each other and stood out. They said with a smile, "The 3 of us will spar with you. Let's see how strong you are now." These 3 grand ancestral gods of the 4th era were respectively the Chaos Ancestral God, the Destiny Ancestral God, and the Creation Ancestral God. All 3 of them were mid-stage grand ancestral gods of the 4th era, and their combat strengths could be considered to be the strongest amongst all the grand ancestral gods of the 4th era. "Long Chen, if you can fight against the 3 of us at the same time, you'll definitely be the strongest among us," Destiny Star Ancestor said with a smile. "We've been looking forward to this day for a long time. Long Chen, you've never let us down. Therefore, we'll go all out in this battle. You'd better be careful," Creation Demon Ancestor warned. "Everyone, don't worry. I'll be fine. Follow me. Let's go to a remote place in the infinite worlds to spar. Don't involve innocent worlds." Long Chen raised his hand and teleported everyone to the death world. Then, they appeared in a very remote corner of the infinite worlds. In this remote corner, there were no worlds nearby. It was completely barren. If there had to be something here, it would probably be the life particles of the God-Fiend's sacred lord. Right now, the entire myriad worlds were filled with these life particles, causing Long Chen to be constantly worried. However, worrying now was useless. The key was to become stronger. Only then would he be able to fight against the demonic god Holy Lord. Currently, the divine demon Sacred Lord was definitely Long Chen's strongest opponent. The sky-devouring clan's Sacred Lord in the lair of Zulong wouldn't be able to break the seal so quickly. However, the divine demon Sacred Lord could completely recover his strength at any time. When that time came, it would be a disaster for the infinite worlds. If Long Chen didn't have enough strength to fight against the divine demon Sacred Lord, the infinite worlds would be devoured and destroyed by the divine demon Sacred Lord once again. Billions of lives would be destroyed. In this remote and barren space, Long Chen stood alone. Li Xuanji merged with him as he faced the 3 4th era ancestral gods. The Chaos Ancestral God, Destiny Ancestral God, and Creation Ancestral Demon. The 3 4th era ancestral gods stood in 3 different directions and surrounded Long Chen. The others watched the battle from very far away instead. All of them really wanted to see exactly what extent Long Chen's strength had attained now, and if he was actually able to resist the joint forces of 3 4th era progenitor gods. "Long Chen, be careful. The 3 of us haven't fought together in a long time." The Chaos Ancestral God stood leisurely in the void and said to Long Chen solemnly, "Bring it on." Long Chen nodded. He was ready. On the other side, the Destiny Ancestral God and Creation Ancestral Demon transformed into their true forms. The 2 ancestral god beasts instantly appeared in this remote corner of the space. The 3 4th era ancestral gods had worked together many times. However, they had almost never fought against an opponent. Long Chen was the first opponent they had fought together. Let's begin. Let us see how strong you are now. The Chaos Ancestral God shouted and took the lead. Endless chaos laws began to erupt and filled the surrounding void. Today was the 27th. In less than 3 days, the new book would be released. When the time came, the link would be posted on WeChat immediately. There were 2 more activities. One was a 1,000 yuan red packet for the book review section. The other was to post book reviews and give extras. Everyone could browse first. Whether it was on their phones or computers, just search for 17K. Click on it and search for Dragon Blood God of War. After the new book is released, search for the name of the new book. Whether it was Dragon Blood or the new book, it would be completely free for a long time. Chapter 3698. As the primal ancestor god began to exert his strength, his signature origin of the world, the chaotic 9-colored lotus, appeared from the void. It contained the boundless laws of chaos, filling the entire area with chaotic force as soon as it appeared. 9-colored splendor illuminated the entire area. On the other side, the Destiny Astral Ancestor revealed his true form, the Destiny Astral Beast. The beast's body was enormous, like a boundless, resplendent starfield. The entire void was filled with countless twinkling starlight. Every single star had its own predestined fate, and when combined together, it was vast and boundless. This was the Destiny Astral Ancestor's true form. As the Destiny Astral Ancestor's true form appeared, the origin of the world faintly appeared before everyone. It was a tower that flickered with endless starlight. This was the Destiny Star Tower. The Destiny Star Tower flickered with dazzling eternal starlight, like a never-ending destiny. It flowed within, looking a bit like the horn on the Destiny Astral Beast's head. As the starlight flickered, destiny flowed. Finally, the founding demon ancestor also revealed his true form, which was the founding primordial spirit beast, just like the Destiny Star Ancestor. In a vast expanse of white dust and mist, a giant beast could be vaguely seen walking proudly. It breathed in and out white clouds that filled the sky, and it was accompanied by a strong founding rule as it stepped on the void. The origin of the world, the founding heart, also appeared in the white dust. It was a heart of clouds that beat fiercely. It spun as the Genesis Astral Beast breathed in and out, bringing with it a burst of laws of creation that filled the entire starry sky. Great chaotic world. The primal ancestor god took the lead. Endless laws of chaos condensed, creating a world purely condensed from the laws of chaos. With the origin of the world, the chaotic 9-colored lotus, 9 kinds of splendor constantly intertwined in the great chaotic world. The great primal chaos world enveloped Long Chen as soon as it appeared. 9 different colors of light represented 9 different types of chaotic elemental essences: water, fire, wind, earth, metal, wood, lightning, light, and darkness. The laws of the 9 great primal chaos wreaked havoc, wanting to turn everything within the great primal chaos world into nothingness. Long Chen was enveloped by the great chaos world, suffering the ravages of the 9 great chaos worlds. He felt endless pressure, but his eyes were calm and composed. When the great chaotic world descended, Long Chen held the bloodlust sword in his left hand and the primordial bone sword in his right. With both swords in hand, he unleashed the sword light laws. Heavenly Blood River. A blood-red sword light swept out from the bloodlust sword, carrying with it the strongest aura of slaughter. It condensed into a river of blood that reached the heavens, completely shattering half of the great chaotic world. Primordial Dragon Tribulation. A sword-light law condensed from primordial chaos and tribulation surged out of the primordial chaos bone sword. The surging primordial chaos tribulation law transformed into an awe-inspiring swordlight that blasted apart the other half of the grand chaotic world with boundless destructive power. With both swords in hand, Long Chen simultaneously unleashed the power of the two laws, instantly shattering the primordial chaos ancestor God's great chaotic world. The chaos nine-colored lotus that was guarding it was also destroyed by the violent fusion of the two swords. It was sent flying far away, causing the primordial chaos ancestor God's mind to be shaken and temporarily unable to attack again. Have a taste of my forbidden life technique, Severance of Destiny. Destiny Star Ancestor's technique immediately manifested. He didn't give Long Chen the slightest chance to catch his breath. Even the slaughter and primordial chaos tribulation law wreaked havoc in the battlefield. The second powerful law immediately descended. Destiny Star Tower descended from the sky, its majestic aura dispersing everything in the battlefield. It completely suppressed Long Chen within it, suppressing Long Chen's destiny. Severance of Destiny sealed destiny. Once Long Chen's destiny was completely suppressed, it was equivalent to his life coming to a standstill. Life and destiny complemented each other, and they relied on each other to exist. Without destiny, there wouldn't be the existence of life. Destiny Star Tower descended with the endless forbidden life technique, suppressing Long Chen's body, wanting to completely sever his destiny. Long Chen held both swords in his hands, the psychedelic pendant hanging on his body fluttering. The dream and transformation law shrouded Long Chen's entire body, and then he transformed into the appearance of Destiny Star Ancestor. Immediately after, Long Chen actually possessed the same ability as Destiny Star Ancestor. He held Destiny Star Tower in his hands, and the Destiny Law surged out, spreading out in all directions. Forbidden Life Technique. Long Chen actually used the psychedelic pendant to replicate Destiny Star Ancestor's technique, blasting out with the Forbidden Life Technique as well. The Forbidden Life Technique clashed with the Forbidden Life Technique, causing the endless power of the Destiny Law to explode in the void. The law techniques of both sides were annihilated in the explosion, returning to nothingness. Destiny Star Beast's body dimmed a lot in the explosion, and he retreated far away. He was surprised that Long Chen could actually replicate his technique, which shocked him greatly and made him unable to believe it. However, the founding primordial spirit beast's law attack also swept over. A white light bloomed from the fiercely beating founding heart, condensing into a beam that pierced through the void, and actually penetrated the void, disintegrating it. The primordial divine light. This white divine light contained the power of countless founding rule, which could turn all existences it touched into their original form, penetrating and disintegrating them into the most basic physical particles. It was conceivable that if life was hit by this primordial divine light, it would definitely dissipate, and completely turn into the original particles. Long Chen didn't have time to try more. He had a hunch that even if he performed rule techniques such as the Sky Blood River and the Primordial Dragon's Apocalypse, he still wouldn't be able to resist this primordial divine light. This was because the power of the rules contained in the Sky Blood River and the Primordial Dragon's Apocalypse would also be penetrated by this primordial divine light, disintegrated, and eventually turned into nothingness. There was no way to resist it head-on, so he could only find another way. The primordial bone sword and the psychedelic pendant combined at this moment. The rules of dream and change, the rules of primordial and catastrophe, the two sides completely merged together. Li Xuanji transformed into a phantom dream dragon and appeared from Long Chen's body. She infinitely enhanced the power of the psychedelic pendant, and combined it with the power of the primordial bone sword. She actually constructed a psychedelic world. Dream Tribulation. The Dream Tribulation, the impact of the rules produced by the combination of the psychedelic pendant and the primordial bone sword instantly trapped the founding primordial spirit beast within. Countless samsara tribulations trapped the founding primordial spirit beast within, and he couldn't break free. The original spirit beast, a cloud of white dust, kept shaking in the illusory world, trying to break the illusory world of the tribulation in the dream. However, the illusory pendant and the primitive bone sword worked together and firmly suppressed him in the illusory world of the tribulation in the dream. The endless samsara tribulations completely surrounded the founding primordial spirit beast, causing the primordial divine light rule that he had just displayed to collapse by itself, and soon dissipated in the void without a trace. Chapter 3699. After the divine light of the creation spirit beast was broken, Long Chen could be said to have won against the three of them. At this time, there was no point in continuing to fight. The moves he had just used were the strongest moves of the Chaos Ancestral God, the Destiny Star Ancestor, and the Demon Ancestor Creator. Since they had failed to do anything to Long Chen, it could be said that they could not do anything to Long Chen even if they joined hands. Impressive indeed. Now, it seems that you're the strongest existence in the myriad worlds. If you can advance to the fourth era's ancestral god realm, you'll be much stronger than us. Chaos Ancestral God laughed and sighed. Long Chen's increase in strength was a good thing for them. After all, no one had forgotten that there was still the Sky-Swallowing clan, a great enemy. Currently, the myriad worlds seemed peaceful, but in reality, they could face a storm at any time. No one knew when the Divine Demon Lord would recover. By then, a new round of war would begin. With Long Chen's leadership, it's possible for us to defeat the Sky-Swallowing clan. But Long Chen, you're not strong enough. If it's so hard to deal with us, it'll be too hard for you to deal with the Divine Demon Lord. Destiny Ancestor said worriedly. When I go back, I'll cultivate the sixth world's origin as soon as possible and reach the fourth era Ancestor God realm. But I don't know how long it'll take. Long Chen said. It's fine. Right now, the infinite worlds are at peace. If the Celestial Demon Lord does anything, we'll know about it. Just focus on your cultivation. The Monster Creator Ancestor smiled. That's right. Then I'll have to trouble you to guard the world. When I cultivate, I'll return to the Tower of Time. I'm afraid I won't know what's happening outside. Long Chen said. That's it. We'll pay close attention to the world. If there's anything wrong, we'll inform you immediately. We'll take our leave now. Chaos Ancestor God nodded and left with the other fourth era Ancestor gods. After sparring with Long Chen and proving Long Chen's absolute strength, there was no need for them to stay any longer. It was better for them to go back and observe the situation of the myriad worlds, in case something unexpected happened. Long Chen didn't have much to say to them. The most important thing now was to increase his strength. If he could increase his strength to the fourth epoch's origin Ancestor God realm, he might be able to deal with a fully recovered God-fiend Holy Lord. However, just as Long Chen was about to leave with the crowd, he suddenly heard an eerie and terrifying sneer, which made him nervous. This was the laughter of a Divine Demon Lord. Long Chen's eyes flashed with a blood-red light. No matter what, he would always remember the Divine Demon Lord's laughter and his ugly appearance. Now that he heard the Divine Demon Lord's laughter, he immediately thought back to the past. When the Divine Demon Lord first appeared, he disguised himself as the chaotic Whole Wizard Ancestor, then captured Long Chen's elders, the 8 dragon servants, and refined them into evil soul-devouring beasts. Whether it was his identity as the Sky-Devouring clan's Holy Lord or his various evil deeds, it made Long Chen hate him to the core. Both sides fought to the death, and only one of them would survive. Now that the Divine Demon Lord had turned into life particles and was scattered throughout the myriad worlds, why would he suddenly laugh? Long Chen snorted coldly. Divine Demon Lord, you recovered very quickly. You should be almost done, right? Do you dare to show yourself and fight me? He, why wouldn't I dare? The Divine Demon Lord's voice sounded, however, you only have this little bit of strength right now, and you want to challenge me? You're overestimating yourself. I'll let you live for a while longer. In any case, I'm not in a hurry. You should be the one in a hurry. Your 8 elders are still obedient soul-devouring beasts under me, and they're still waiting for you to save them, he he he. These words ignited Long Chen's anger once again. This god-fiend Saint Lord was truly arrogant. He could only turn into particles of life to avoid battle, but he was still so arrogant. It was truly disgusting. However, Long Chen couldn't do anything to him now. The divine demon lord had turned into life particles, and Long Chen couldn't completely destroy him right now. One day, you will pay the price for this. Long Chen said coldly. He would definitely save the 8 dragon servants, and he would definitely defeat the divine demon lord. However, as the divine demon lord had said, Long Chen had no chance of winning against the divine demon lord at his peak. Increasing his strength was the most important thing right now. I've been waiting for you to make me pay the price, but you can't do it. I'm very disappointed, the divine demon lord continued to smile smugly. However, the life particles he had turned into did not disappear. They were still spread across the myriad worlds. It was obvious that although his strength had recovered, it hadn't fully recovered, so he still didn't dare to appear. Long Chen had no choice but to suppress the raging flames of hatred in his heart. He left this place and rushed back to the dragon sacrificial continent. He couldn't do anything to the divine demon lord now, but he might be able to think of a way if he stepped into the 4th era's ancestral god realm. Long Chen had to hurry up and try to break through before the divine demon lord completely recovered. The divine demon lord probably wants to completely recover his strength now, and then attack me. He definitely wants to release the other sky-devouring race divine lords. Then, what he needs is the ancestral dragon inheritance blood essence in my body. Long Chen was very clear about this. He wouldn't let the ancestral dragon inheritance blood essence fall into the divine demon lord's hands no matter what. As long as the ancestral dragon inheritance blood essence was with Long Chen, the divine demon lord wouldn't be able to save the other sky-devouring race divine lords. If there was only one divine demon lord, his battle strength would be limited. Divine demon lord. I must kill you. Long Chen withdrew the killing intent in his eyes and stepped into the 4th floor of the Tower of Time, preparing to cultivate to the 4th era's ancestral god realm. He didn't know how long this process would take, but it was a process he had to go through. If he wanted to fight the divine demon lord, reaching the 4th era's ancestral god realm was the most basic condition. Otherwise, Long Chen would most likely be suppressed by the divine demon lord. The divine demon lord suddenly appeared and said this to Long Chen. Nobody else knew about it, and Long Chen didn't tell anyone else. Before entering the Tower of Time, he had Lingxi, Mo Xiaolang, and Li Xuanji guard the dragon sacrificial continent. The 3 of them were as powerful as the 4th era's ancestral god realm. Among them, Xiaolang and Lingxi were very powerful. With them guarding the dragon sacrificial continent, nothing would happen. The other 4th era's ancestral god realm returned to their own worlds and guarded one place. At the same time, they paid attention to the entire world. After making all the arrangements, Long Chen stepped into the 4th floor of the Tower of Time, preparing to officially break through to the 4th era's ancestral god realm. On the 28th, one day later, at 12 a.m., the lunatic's new book would be released. Everyone, please pay attention to WeChat. I will send the chapter directly to your WeChat. Remember to come to the comments section of the new book page on the 30th to post your book review and win a supporting role. At 12 a.m. on the 30th, there will be a red packet of 1,000 yuan waiting for you.